What up, people? What's good? Salute.
Yes, sir.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Salute to the tribe. We're hip hop and comics and hip hop. We're a niche channel. And reserved for the best is super dope. I do sell comics. Check me out on Instagram at 6th_element_comics. Yeah, because comic books are the sixth element of hip hop. What's good, everybody? It is the sixth element of hip hop. I am your host, Reno Noir. This is my co-host for the evening, Sada. What's up, Sada?
Hi, everybody.
Stu Dog is on the way. He'll be joining us here momentarily. Yeah, we got a cool show. We're gonna recap everything that happened for the New York Comic Con this weekend. We're going to review the amazing House of the Dragon episode 8, the hilarious She-Hulk episode 8, and the Werewolf by Night film. That was fucking dope. It was dope. Have you seen it, Thought? Did you see it?
Yes, I watched it just before the show. It was surprisingly great. I had a great time.
Yeah, I was very surprised how good it was. It was really good. And then the Comic-Con sort of events, we'll kind of go over that too, like what all happened in New York Comic-Con, what's coming out for Marvel Comics, what's coming out for the MCU, what's coming out for the Disney Plus shows, what films are coming out, all kinds of stuff, everything that was announced. We'll go over that, including this. Boom. This is so cool. So we got Dark Web coming December 2022. Avengers Assemble coming in 2022. Sins of Sinister in January. Summer of the Symbiotes in the summer. Captain America Cold War in the spring. And Fall of X summer 2023. That's the mutant shit. And that's comic book stuff, guys. I have watched Werewolf. Don't spoil too much, please. Oh, you haven't watched it? Eesh.
I'll do my best.
Yeah. I'll warn you, Norin, before I say anything, Norin Rad. I will say, all right, big spoiler coming up. I'll give you that much. But I can't promise no spoilers because we got to go deep. What's good, Cooks in the building?
Hi, Cooks.
Diamond Onyx. Glad to see you back. It's been a while.
I know it's been a while. I was like, what happened?
I know. But so everything that happened at New York Comic Con, if you didn't make it this past weekend, don't worry, we got you covered. We've compiled a lot of every iota of news, trailers, and descriptions of all the other footage that debuted at the convention, including the bananas teaser for the season 3 of Star Trek Picard, a look at the epic finale of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, what's coming on Doom Patrol and Titans, and so much more. So we've got in the television section. In fact, I think at a certain point, New York Comic Con may be forced to legally change its name to New York TV Con because new trailers dominated the news this year. The Wheel of Time, Doom Patrol, Wednesday, literally like Wednesday from
Addams
Family.
Yeah,
Addams Family, and a host of new Star Trek trailers premiered along with a lot more. You had the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power finale trailer. They gave you the Wheel of Time season 2 sneak peek. We got Neil Gaiman delivered a Good Omens season 2 sneak peek at New York Comic Con. I didn't watch Good Omens season 1, so I don't even know anything about that show except it has something to do with devils and angels. Titan season 4 trailer becomes a bloody new foe. Not content to just reveal Titan's newest villains earlier this week. DC also debuted the long-awaited first trailer for the 4th season of the series at the Comic-Con. Besides the introduction of quasi-vampire cult leader Brother Blood and his cult of blood this season. More villains due to menace the Titans this season include Blood's second in command and consort, at least as she was introduced in the comics, Mother Mayhem, and the evil sorcerer Jinx. Even Lex Luthor when the team ventures to Metropolis, which should prove quite interesting for Connor, aka Superboy, who was cloned using Superman's and Lex's DNA. So we'll stay tuned.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. Very
I
excited.
knew you would be.
Yeah.
I
The only thing I didn't like was the Mother Mayhem clip that they released, but other than that, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited.
What didn't you like about the Mother Mayhem?
Well, I didn't like how the fight was set up. So they do this thing where the villain will stand still, and then each team member will try and attack them one at a time instead of like going as a team. So it was very bizarre to watch. That happened again, and we're 4 seasons in. But other than that, I'm very excited. And hello, Stu.
Stu Dog.
What's up? What's up?
Yo, what's up? What's going on?
We just running over the different things that were covered at the Comic-Con as far as the TV section, the TV shows. Also, Doom Patrol Season 4 trailer really emphasizes the Doom. Tim Burton's Wednesday gets a mysterious and spooky new trailer. So
I saw
I thought that. Yeah, I saw some of
the card. Season 3.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get there too because a lot of Star Trek stuff. But for spooky season, which is the internet's affectionate term for Halloween, New York Comic Con got a little visit from our favorite member of the Addams family, and Tim Burton is doing it. So like that's fucking dope.
That's a thumbs up for me. I'm addicted to anything Tim Burton does, bro. I'm a straight fan.
He's a goat. He's the goat. He's definitely the goat. And the show follows Wednesday as she sleuths, a supernatural mystery when she steps into the halls of the Nevermore Academy. Tim Burton said Wednesday is the classic outsider. Obviously, she sees things very black and white, mainly black. He said in the behind the scenes video, which you can watch online now, probably on Netflix. But in the past incarnations, it's been very cartoony. So in this longer form, they're trying to give it a more reality-based version. So I don't know how that's going to go. I mean, reality-based Addams Family, I don't know. But they kind of did. They kind of did that with the movie.
Oh, it was live action.
Yeah,
it was
the live action films that they did. The sort of, I don't know if this was the 90s or early 2000s when they did this, but with Christina,
it was the
Christina
90s,
Ricci.
late 90s.
Yeah, I remember those movies.
Yeah, and those were they were like set in reality. It was like the Addams Family was the Addams Family, but they lived in like the normal world. Everything else.
Which was cool. It was cool
Mm-hmm.
because when they did the original Addams Family, it was based in the 60s.
Right.
So it makes sense.
And then we had so Star Trek Picard's final season trailer is absolutely bananas. If you liked the unhinged vibes of Picard's season 2 finale trailer for the third and final season, the vibe is dope. Paramount just wowed New York Comic Con with the explosive new trailer for this final season. And while our previous conversations about this have focused on the nostalgia-laden return of Next Generation's primary cast, Gates McFadden as Beverly Crusher, Jonathan Frakes as Will Riker, Marina Sirtis as Deanna Troi,
Rena,
Michael Dorn as Worf,
Rena, you can't do that. You can't do that.
LeVar Burton as Geordie LaForge.
No, you can't do that. Let me take over here for a second. Star Trek Picard Season 3 will have the Next Generation cast returning to reprise their roles as your favorite characters: Geordie LaForge, Deanna Troi, Beverly Crusher, Jean-Luc Picard, William Riker, and don't forget Worf. Worf will be returning. Now, they showed lore at the end of the at the trailer. Some people might think that's Data, but Data died, and we know that. Unless
Mhm.
B9, positronic matrix spread and Data was able to come back, which I think he did because I don't know. I think it's lore. Jordy said it was lore. But in Picard season 1, Data was in season 1 when they did the time travel thing.
Was he?
So yeah, because the android girl that Picard had, she was Data's creation. Data created her. She
Mm.
was like a spin-off from Data. It
Mm.
was something they did with his positronic net. So I don't know. We don't know. Data might make a return. We don't know. But we know Laura's in it. And that's pretty much the whole crew because
Yeah.
Q died in the last one,
Yeah.
and we know he won't be back. And it's a fitting end to to the whole thing with the next generation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I never got into Picard. Next Generation was my shot. And then when Picard came out, I was like, oh hell yeah. And I started watching it. And I don't know if it was just my mood at the time, but I was like, man, this is like mad slow. Like
it
it wasn't
was,
hitting.
it was.
Maybe it took a while to
Yeah.
get into it, but I guess I
No,
had
no,
too many
no, no,
shows I was
no, no,
juggling.
no, no, no. No, I'm a Star Trek fan, and trust me, it was slow. Everybody
Yeah.
complained about Picard. That first season, it started off really slow. It was too much
Okay.
story. It was too
Yeah.
much. It wasn't enough. Like they progressed the story every 3 episodes, and you like, damn, can we please just get? I got some Star Trek comics too. So I'm talking about Norway. You got come on, man. You gotta show them things off. We gotta talk some track. Um, season 2 is better. Hopefully,
Mhm.
season 3 is a step above all the rest. We got Enterprise F, which I'm excited to see. I want to see the bridge of Enterprise F. I want to see what it looks like. Kind of looks like Enterprise E to me, but you know.
Yeah. And then and that's the final season. And then also we got Discovery season 5 trailer. What they dropped as well. And then we got the power of the Doctor brings an end to another era of Doctor Who. They gave us I don't know if anybody his Dark Materials. If anybody's seen this show, let me know because I've been curious about it, but I never got into it. Season 3 trailer, things get biblical. And then the peripheral digs into William Gibson's thrilling virtual reality mystery. You've got Walking Dead teases a simmering conflict in a new clip. The Midnight Club's first episode is a horror record breaker. I actually watched this first episode because
Did you?
it takes place in 1994 and it's about teenagers in 1994. So that's like the exact time when I was a teenager. So I wanted to see how closely how well they did. But it was a pretty cool show. It was interesting. Culled from an expansive library of Christopher Pike novels. It's sort of Netflix venture for Mike Flanagan, best known for his adult-focused, limited-run horror series like The Haunting of Hill House, the Midnight Mass, and there's a couple of other ones like the Bloom House or something like that. But by contrast, the Midnight Club has been written as open-ended and is aimed at a younger audience. But it takes like a single self-contained novel and expands its scope by diving deep into the well of Christopher Pike's work. He's got a lot of different novels that they sort of pull from, but it's about these terminally ill children, teenagers that have different forms of cancer, different things that they're gonna die from. It's they're living in a hospice, like it's a wrap. There's nothing that can be done for them, and they go to this hospice, and at this hospice it's only teens that live there. And late at night, when the nurses, everybody's asleep, all the teens sort of gather in the basement and tell scary stories. And I guess it's been going on for like a long time because remember, this is a hospice, so as people come in the group, people die and they leave the group and new people come in, and so it's kind of like a passing of the torch. It's deep, man. It's deep. It's pretty good. So that was presented at the Comic-Con, and I can recommend it's a decent show. Then you got the Muppets Mayhem, Chucky season 2. And Oscar Isaac came out and said we're definitely going to see more Moon Knight. So that's a good thing. Yeah, according to him at the panel, Kevin Feige had been talking with Isaac for a while, attempting to find a good project with which to bring him on board. And so when Moon Knight came, he was excited. He said, "I saw the opportunity to talk about something that's often difficult to talk about, mental illness, but using the language of comics, myth, and literal underworld to talk about the underworld of the human psyche." But yeah, as they discussed, doing this, I guess they solidified or verified season 2 is definitely coming. So that's good news. I think they all but said into the mic was that the Moon Knight is not the last that you'll see of the character. Actually, you know what? They didn't really say specifically. The question was asked, you know what I'm thinking about it now? The question was asked if we're looking at seeing season 2 of Moon Knight. The answer was the Moon Knight show is not the last you'll see of the character. So that doesn't mean there's a season 2. It means that Moon Knight will be in the MCU in some capacity, right? So he could be in the movies or whatever. So yeah, maybe it will be.
Sucks.
Yeah, I know. Now that
I can tell you exactly. I know
everyone's
exactly
taking it as that meaning season 2. That's what everyone's taking it as. That means season 2. But I'm taking it for the words that they used.
Yeah, because wording is important, very important.
Yeah, very important. Very important. But remember, at the end of season 1, the way they ended it, you would think we would get to season 2.
Right.
I know.
The way the whole thing kicked out. Yeah.
So many unanswered questions. We needed that season 2.
Yeah.
So maybe
and we
their minds, but
I wanted to see Jake Lockley, man, and yeah, so
we didn't get to see him. Yeah, we didn't get to see him at all. So it would be dope if we got to see him.
A little tidbit at the end though, but film wise, we got Mario Super Brothers movie, Super Mario Brothers movie, trailer. Some people dug it, some people don't dig Chris Pratt as the voice.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny, Reno? When they show thumbnails for the trailer, it's always Chris Pratt dressed as Mario. I haven't seen one thumbnail yet.
I haven't seen that yet.
With just Mario, like just Mario with the cartoon Mario face or the CG. It's always Chris Pratt.
That's funny.
Yeah. They keep showing his face as Mario. That's funny. It's super funny.
He's a total meme.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. I'm not. So there's this thing called VHS 99. The VHS 99 panel, found footage horror, which once felt like a gimmick on its way to obscurity, that I thought was pretty much on its way out. Just keeps seeming to find a new way to reinvent itself. And one big reason is the VHS series, which revived itself with last year's sickeningly entertaining VHS 94. So a new entry set 5 years later hits Shudder just in time for Halloween. The new trailer hit at the Comic-Con is VHS 99. So if you're into that, that's coming.
VHS 94. That was good, bro.
Yeah. And then the first
caught me by surprise.
I know the first Teen Wolf movie.
Oh yeah, that's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I still is not happy.
No. We did good with the first Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf 2 was kind of pushing it, but it was watchable. It's still considered classic. But once you got past that, hang it up.
Wasn't there drama too with that? With one of the actresses, like they did want to go back because of pay. They weren't getting paid compared to like their co-stars. I was like,
I didn't hear that, but
yeah,
I believe it.
Arden Show, I think that's who she was.
Okay. Yeah. It makes that was going on a lot in the 80s. But then so MTV did the show, which that MTV Teen Wolf show that I never saw. I never got into.
You didn't miss nothing. You didn't miss anything.
I wasn't.
Nope.
I wasn't interested. I wasn't interested.
It was good to go.
I guess they got a movie.
Yeah.
The movie is coming out, and I correct me, Sada, if I'm wrong. I think that this movie is then based on the MTV show. Like
Yeah,
it's a
this is based on the show.
Mm.
And one of the actresses ended up not being a part of
Oh,
it because of the pay stuff or whatever. But yeah, this is based on the show, the MTV show.
right. Yeah, and and as for the Chris Pratt thing, I think Jack Black might be the real hero of this movie.
Yeah,
Playing Bowser. Yeah, he's
I think
definitely
he's doing great. I
he
couldn't
is.
even tell.
Yeah, no,
Nah, you couldn't even tell that was Jack Black. No.
he's not doing his normal Jack Black thing. He's doing Bowser, which is great. It's
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like, Kung Fu Panda or anything. It's very good. The one movie that surprisingly I'm like hyped for is the Weird Al Yankovic story.
I've heard a lot of people really excited about that.
The Daniel Radcliffe is playing him, and I wouldn't normally care about a Weird Al movie. I think Weird Al, the last time I heard a Weird Al song was in first grade. But in first grade, Weird Al was the GOAT. Trust me. Kindergarten, first grade, Weird Al was the GOAT. I remember kids bringing cassette tapes to school and all of that back in kindergarten, first grade. Like that was the big Weird Al and shit. But so the trailer that I seen of it looks hilarious, bro, because it's the Weird Al story, right? It's supposed to be like his life story, kind of how Howard Stern did that movie, where it's like a documentary, but it's also drama, dramatized. So it looks like that. It's like completely satire. Like they're just making a joke, like he had a steady relationship with Madonna. Like all this funny shit that just never happened is like in his documentary, like how he walked in the office and like kicked the door in and was like, make my album, or shit like that. Just funny shit like that. So looks pretty funny. What else? That's movies, that's TV shows. You got the animation that they busted out. They got the Scooby-Doo joint, the Star Trek Prodigies new trailer.
Prodigy's pretty good. Scooby-Doo is always good. Scooby been out for a
Scooby-Doo.
long time, bro. Yeah, Scooby been out for a long time.
I gotta rewatch those movies. Oh, so good. So good.
Yeah, Scooby been out for a long time. I was actually watching Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? The other day. I watched all the episodes.
Oh yeah, I gotta binge that again too. That was a good show.
Good.
Which one was that?
That was
that
the show? The original show.
Classic joint.
Oh, the original.
Classic
The classic.
Yeah, when we were little.
The original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Yeah, because I own them. I own them on
both.
DVD. Yeah, I own them on DVD. So I was watching them.
Me and Blaze were watching them the other day too. I was like showing them. Yep, the OG.
Yeah, Scooby been around for a long time, man.
A long time. There's been a lot of different theme songs and all of that I didn't even realize. There was a couple different theme songs and shit that I was looking at on YouTube that they went through. But yeah, they've been around since the 60s, I think. 70s definitely.
60. Scooby-Doo was out in 69.
69, something like that. Yeah, bro.
And those joints were still kicking in the 80s. I was watching them in the 80s as a kid.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. That's all we watched was the reruns from the 60s or from the 70s. That was the shit.
Yeah. Because they didn't really start coming out with new Scooby-Doo episodes or even like new content until like the 80s.
Right.
We were still watching the 70s joints.
Yep. And so to be fair, New York Comic Con is a comic convention, at least supposed to be. So in their comics announcements, new eras of Superman and the X-Men are going to begin next year. Although things seem much sunnier for the Superman family than Marvel's mutants, as per usual. That's normal. The saddest news of the convention was the ultimately passing of artist Jim Jung G, who was memorialized at the con. But Superman is entering his family era in 2023. With the whole Superman line of DC Comics has seen some sizable shakeups in the last few years. You got Clark Kent being on Warworld up until fairly recently. His son Jonathan is now Superman, and all. So there's a lot of shit going on. with the family. And then you got
Reno. It's all a DC's trying to push Superman. They've always pushed Superman, but this new generation is not so into Superman.
yeah.
They like Batman. They like the
I blame
anti-heroes.
DC for that. They made
Yeah.
their own coffin with that because he's so oversaturated. Of course, there's no chance to really even get into Superman, really.
Right.
No.
Yeah, where do you start? But
and you gotta ask you have to ask the question too as well. Is it time for DC to give us some other heroes? Push some other Justice League members to the forefront, comic wise and movie and TV show wise. I mean, the Green Lantern animated series, it was good. It was really good. Needle's Way, and they cut it, and that was it. I'm like, damn, that's all we're gonna get. I mean, Justice League Unlimited was good. Yeah, Justice League Unlimited, and it gave us a new hero every week that was in the spotlight for what was going on.
Yeah.
DC has to learn that Superman he had his run, man. Batman's always going to be relevant, but Superman's always been the one they pushed to the forefront. Always.
Yeah, he's their golden boy. But we'll see what happens. But that's DC. It's always going to be Superman's going to be their guy. With Marvel, they got 2023 promising a summer of symbiotes and mutants galore. Fall of X.
And they better stop. Don't. They better.
They better what?
They better. Don't get me all hyped up.
Nah, they got you. Comic book wise, they got you. Whether it's for the silver screen or pen and ink, Marvel uses the season of Comic-Con to tee up the big stories that they got, brewing all year. San Diego Comic-Con in July saw the House of Ideas build up to comic arcs involving the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. And then this weekend's New York Comic-Con focused on the heavy hitters, like the mutants and other shit. Blade. Blade's daughter is finally here back in May. Marvel's Free Comic Book Day issue shone the spotlight on Brielle Brooks, daughter of Blade, and going under the codename Bloodline, she'll be headlining her own 5-issue miniseries, aptly named Bloodline, Daughter of Blade. Nice. Written by the Free Comic Book Day team of Danny Lore and Karen S. Darboe. The miniseries will see her come to grips with her new powers and learn more about her bloodline, which will inevitably involve meeting her father, Blade, and with how comic book storylines eventually make their way to the MCU in some capacity or another, it stands to reason that they're doing this because Brielle's solo is a stepping stone to showing up in the Daywalker's corner, of the MCU, assuming Blade's movie locks down a director at some point. But so look for Bloodline, Daughter of Blade, to begin on February 1st, and expect that to be a precursor to the MCU. Because anytime they can create a female character, they're going to do it, and they're going to put them in the comics first, and then put them in the MCU. And then symbiote loving, we got it. In the last, I think, several years, Marvel's gone through great lengths to establish a cosmic, occasionally goofy mythology for the symbiote that often become a big problem for Spider-Man and the other heroes. But after 2020's King in Black event ended with Venom becoming a god of the symbiotes and sharing the mantle with his son Dylan, the goo monsters are back and ready to start shit for the 4th or 5th time in recent memory. But no additional details were given on the Summer of Symbiotes event. But Marvel did tease that it would be spinning out events in Venom with Al Ewing, Carnage, and February 2023's Red Goblin. And then, and is often the case for symbiote-related stories, new gooey heroes and villains will be making their debut during the event. Always some new symbiote characters.
Don't forget Gold Goblin, too. We got coming up.
Yep, Gold Goblin. And then Guardians of the Galaxy, they break up. I don't know. Marvel's Guardians haven't been really been seen since 2021 when Al Ewing did concluded his run. At the time, the team was 5 people typically associated with the MCU. Greatly grew their ranks to feature Super Skrull, Nova, Doctor Doom, like among others. So and then the run ended on a happy note with the Guardians all agreeing to go and take a vacation, except Doom. He went back to Earth. But in the year and change since the comics last focused on the Guardians, they've apparently gone their separate ways. And like the Summer of Symbiotes, no creative team or additional details were really given on that. But, just letting us know that's going to debut in the spring. For the starting arc, at least, though, rebuilding the team will be the primary focus because, they had this huge team and then they sort of had a big culmination and then everyone went their separate ways. So they'll rebuild the team and find the core members again, which initially doesn't sound terribly dissimilar to what the cinematic versions of the Guardians are going to be doing around the same time. And my favorite author, Jonathan Hickman, continues to tease his next project, which will feature art by Inferno collaborator Valerio Schiti. And then while the 2023 book didn't get a full reveal, concept art was shown off, which featured someone who appears to be Doctor Strange in various different cloaks and jackets. But Hickman's previously referred to this book as Sandman for the Marvel Universe. So you can kind of figure that out. Like Sandman is a DC thing, but this is like Marvel's Sandman is what he's saying. And given that Doctor Strange is often, involves the inevitability of change, and the tagline references the powers that be meeting the natural order of things. But the chances of Hickman tackling Marvel's Sorcerer Supreme grows, I think, and we can't wait. I think that would be phenomenal. So if anybody is into Jonathan Hickman, look out for that. The X-Men have a new joint with Mr. Sinister that's coming up. Also Jonathan Hickman, yes, yeah. And during his tenure with the X-Men, he made Mr. Sinister into one of the most important figures in mutant kind's rise to prominence and the island nation of Krakoa. He's a main council member, and not really a villain at this point. No one's really a villain, though, in the mutants. All the Brotherhood mutants, all the villain mutants are all kind of working together. It's just every mutant is a mutant, and it's like mutants unite kind of thing. So you got Magneto, Xavier just chilling together. Everybody's chilling together. He kind of turned Sinister into like a kind of like a flamboyant, almost like an interior decorator. Like a flamboyant hair salon guy. Is kind of what he reminds me of, but definitely an important figure. But you don't trust a mad scientist farther than they can clone you. But Nathaniel Essex has been getting up to some shit across Immortal X-Men and the primary X-Men book that finally will come to a head. But beginning in January, Sins of Sinister will follow 3 separate time periods wherein Sinister's various schemes across time result in yet another alternate timeline. Following the Sins one-shot from Immortals, Kieran Gillen and Lucas Winnick, the event will play out across a trio of 3-issue books that replace the Immortal, X-Men Red, and Legion of X. Nightcrawlers looks fucking dope. Wolverine. Storm is now rocking Magneto's whole get up. I'm gonna get into that.
She got the whole costume.
Storm is like Magneto right now. And Storm so she's got Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants is like the new book. Al Ewing. This is gonna be phenomenal. It follows It follows Storm as she and the crew go on a revenge quest after the destruction of Mars. Mars was one of the places where the mutants had their base. It's called Nightcrawlers. You've got Nightcrawlers is the other one, which focuses on Sinister's assassin army, led by Wagner 9 and Immortal X-Men. You got the Quiet Council, which go at each other's throats, as Emma Frost is trying to go for the crown and become the leader. After April's Sins of Sinister, Dominion closes things out. Everything will be good for the mutants, right? No, never. Right before Krakoa is about to go up in flames, the Dawn and Reign of X have been pretty eventful for mutant kind. Dawn of X, Reign of X, I've been like enamored by it. But we've known since the beginning of all that this was fated to end. I knew this in 2019 when I first read House of X, Powers of X, and the whole Krakoan Island thing, and I knew this is like way too good to be true. The mutants, this can't last because they're like gods. So, but what kind of fall can we expect, and what's going to come after this Krakoan experiment? It's very exciting to find out. Like, I can't wait. I mean, it's all good. It's all good. I like to see the mutants on top, but not for long, because then it becomes like they're not the mutants anymore. You know what I mean? Got to be the underdogs.
That's true.
Got to be the
That's
underdogs.
true. That's so true.
Static Shock, and Batman Beyond are going to team up for Milestone's 30th anniversary.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes, that is going to be dope. One of the many DC animated series from the 90s and early 2000s, Kids WB's Batman Beyond and Static Shock are among the most beloved of those shows. And in the comics, both characters have received their own solo books within the last several years, mostly Batman Beyond, both because of obvious reasons, and DC's revival for Static, and by extension, the rest of Milestone Comics, is still fairly recent. But now the two heroes are teaming up for the first time, and that's going to be dope. And they announced that on Friday at Comic-Con. Static Beyond is what I think is what it's called. It's a short story that'll be set in the future. It will see an older Virgil Hawkins cross paths with a still pretty green Terry McGinnis in Neo Gotham. So that'll be cool. It's like a 30th anniversary. Yeah,
that's ultra cool, man.
Yeah. Can't wait for that. Cannot wait for that. What else they give us? They gave us Joe Quesada jumps from Marvel to DC. That's a big event. That's pretty big news. Joe Quesada has been a staple at Marvel artist for a long time. And then
yes, he has.
This is true.
Yeah. And then, like I said before, artist Kim Jung-gi passed away. And they honored him at the Comic-Con. He was the GOAT. They announced some book stuff too. Star Wars Inquisitor Spotlight continues the Rise of the Red Blade novel. Avatar: The Last Airbender has one, and the R.L. Stein joint. Everything else was like
they just keep pushing.
They do, yeah.
No, they keep pushing Avatar.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but it's not Avatar, the blue Avatar. It's Airbender.
That one too. Keep pushing it. Yeah. But they haven't given. You know what, Reno? They haven't given us anything. They keep promising things from Avatar. We never get anything.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. Captain America: Cold War is coming out. That's supposed to be dope. In the comics. Yeah, and then Hickman's, you got Voices Wakanda Forever is doing a new Voices is doing a new Wakanda joint. And yeah, I said Bloodline. Silver Surfer Ghostlight is coming out. Bishop War College. This is gonna be fucking dope. Brace yourselves for the dopest shit that could bring the fate of Krakoa into question. TV writer Jay Holtham and artist Sean Damian Hill are going to see Lucas Bishop take control of a new group of X-Men, an all-black group of X-Men. So it's X-Men Black, sort of. But while Krakoa is a vulnerable island paradise, Bishop and the students are going to do what they can to save mutant kind. It'll be Armor, Surge, Cam Long, Aura Charles, and A-Mass. Will join Bishop, and we'll find out more about that as that comes out. As that comes out next year. Sinister, Guardians, we talked about. Yeah. All right, man. So we can go on and get into
Did we talk about Spider-Man? Spider-Man, a whole new series. Yeah, was it Dark Web or something like that?
Dark Web, yeah. That's right, Dark Web.
And that's what they're gonna put that out between now and February.
Dark Web comes out December. Comics. Yeah, Dark Web is December. Avengers Assemble is November. Sinister is January. Symbiote, Summer of Symbiotes starts next summer, obviously, and Fall of X next summer as well. Captain America is in spring.
Avengers, what is that? Avengers. There's another Avengers book coming out where they're in. I think it's they're in BC. I think it's like Avengers BC or something like that. It's in Avengers number 2 or 3, and they have to fight. They're taking on Doctor Doom, but Doctor Doom has his own version of the BC Avengers because he's taking over. We know Doctor Doom's he's the man.
Yeah.
So he's taking over. So
that's dope.
Yeah.
How did they help lead to the creation of Mordor? So okay, so we can bust out and do what do you call it? You want to do Werewolf? She-Hulk, Werewolf.
She-Hulk first.
She-Hulk first. She-Hulk. I actually watched that.
She-Hulk. Oh well, then you better. Well, let's let you do what you do. Let's let you do what you do. What did you think of She-Hulk?
Honestly, I liked the episode for the most part. Everything with Daredevil was great. The minute he left, I didn't like it anymore. Like, genuinely speaking, like as soon as she sat on the couch and she did the fourth wall and she was like, "Oh, this episode should have ended." I'm like, "Yeah, I agree. I think it should have." I feel like that whole bit with her at the gala being exposed with her sex tape or whatever, like they could have saved that for the next episode. I don't think it was needed. But everything with Daredevil was really well done. I don't know who was in charge of that portion of the episode, but it was great. Like the dialogue was top notch. The courtroom scene was like an actual courtroom proceeding, which was crazy. The humor hit for me. I liked what's it called? Daredevil's like dry humor. It played off really well with She-Hulk.
Yeah.
I like their chemistry and everything. I did like the action scene for the most part. I liked how they showed Daredevil to be really agile because we didn't get a lot of that in the Netflix show. And yeah, it was just really good. I enjoyed it. I think She-Hulk looked a little sluggish in their fight, but that's it. Otherwise, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. And with Daredevil making his first costumed appearance in the MCU, we finally have an idea of what the future of Daredevil will look like in the MCU too. So that was dope. But yeah, She-Hulk was great.
Well, seeing Daredevil in this episode is actually his introduction into the MCU.
Right.
So now by them doing that, everything that we saw on Netflix is now canon or not canon, because now Disney can use. I mean, Marvel can use whatever they want from that now, and whatever they don't want, they just toss, and whatever they do. But that also does one other thing. That also makes Luke Cage canon. That also makes Jessica Jones canon, Punisher canon, and it also makes everybody's favorite superhero, Iron Fist, canon.
They just need to bring them all back.
Right. And that's only by bringing only by bringing Daredevil in does that make all of them canon, and now they can use them however they want. Right.
Yeah.
They can use them however they want or don't want in that, because he confirmed the existence of all of them just by in there interacting with She-Hulk. And that's basically what the episode was for. It was to introduce him into the MCU and make his whole run canon or not canon, however we're gonna do it. But we know Kingpin is canon because they use the same Kingpin from the Netflix series and Hawkeye.
Well, technically, Charlie Cox's Daredevil has always been part of the MCU, but his Netflix show was kept at arm's length.
Right, isn't it? Right. Right.
And with the rights to Daredevil are now back at Marvel Studios, and the new Daredevil Born Again TV show is coming to Disney Plus. You got the Man of Fire. He's joining the MCU properly, but not without some changes. And She-Hulk gave us a taste of what's to come for the MCU Daredevil. So you've got obviously the costume change is one, the most obvious change. The yellow and red is a new look for MCU, but comic book fans, we know this is the original Daredevil look from 1964. I love it. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Really cool looking, and they made it look really cool. They didn't go too bright with the yellow, so they did.
I like the mustard, like not like Dijon mustard. That was a good color.
It was a funny line. She said, you trying to pull off the ketchup and mustard, huh? Yeah. But in the comics, Daredevil created the costume from his father's boxing gear as a tribute to his pops. But in the show, it's superhero fashion designer Luke Jacobson who creates the duds. But that said, we did see Battling Jack Murdoch sporting the red and gold robe in the Netflix series. So perhaps Matt asked Jacobson to use his father's colors as inspiration for the new suit, or maybe it's just maybe he's just a big fan of condiments.
We also wanted. I wonder if he's going to come back because there is a She-Hulk run where Matt Murdock, She-Hulk had to defend Steve Rogers in court, and Matt Murdock was the lawyer that went up against her. But Steve Rogers, he was. I mean, it was weird. Like he was drained to the super soldier serum. He was going to court for. There was a guy that Steve got killed inadvertently. It wasn't like he was. Steve was antagonizing a bunch of thugs, and they threatened to kill the guy, and they did because of Steve. But Steve was just relentless in his pursuit of them. And the guy's brother took Steve to court to sue him for wrongful death and of his brother. So She-Hulk Steve went and got She-Hulk to represent him. But then, Steve Rogers, he kind of felt it was his fault. So he wanted a lawyer that was equally as good to argue against him and try to prosecute him. And so they got Matt Murdock to do it.
Matt Murdock. Yeah.
Yeah. So this isn't the first time that they've met in court. So I kind of like that was like a homage to that. And then you had Frogman in there. Frogman was a good homage to the comics. And I think Frogman was supposed to be Daredevil's brother in the comic or something like that. I know they introduced him in there on the cover or something like that. Is his brother or something like that? But
they definitely changed that at least.
I never read the comic. I've only seen the.
I don't know. Maybe it was like a
cover. Yeah, I've only seen the cover. I've only seen the cover of the comic.
But Norin Rad is right about that. They are talking about leading, and I said this from the gate. Like I knew this was going to lead to World War Hulk eventually. But with Daredevil, they also gave him a new sort of attitude, like Lito's Way was saying, with the quips and all that.
But we always say that. We always say that I gotta try to be like Guardians. So.
I know, but I think in this episode, at least, I think it worked. I feel like it wasn't too much to the point where it took away from him and what he was doing. And I don't know, it just kind of worked because they were battling and stuff like that. I felt like it wasn't too much. So I was okay with it. Usually
I liked it.
I dug it.
I'm used. I mean, I did, but I'm just used to him being so serious, man. Like I'm used to him.
It's
being,
good.
You know what I mean? Like
it's
dark.
Just kind of be light, just be a lighter being. It's good.
Yeah, like in the show, like in the Netflix show, like he had his moments, but like he could be light if he needed to. You know what I'm saying? Especially
Right.
like when he's being Matt Murdock, he's trying to be this lawyer guy. He's not trying to let anybody know he's Daredevil. So he's trying to put on this persona and be more happy-go-lucky and stuff like that. And he doesn't divulge much about his history to Jen Walters.
Yeah.
And leaves us in the dark as to what he's been up to since the end of the Netflix series. But his change in attitude might imply that he's had time to do some healing, because he went through a lot of hardship in that show in Netflix.
Right.
And so it's possible that he's finally reached a place where he can move on and start to enjoy the thrills that come along with being, a superhero. And you can't say he hasn't earned it, but that was certainly
very comfortable with She-Hulk. I think that also maybe what led to the quips and just him being a little more laid back. He seemed very comfortable with her from the jump. So yeah, I think it worked.
Yeah. And he's also got some new powers. Daredevil showed up on She-Hulk sporting the same classic powers that we're used to seeing, yet there was a big upgrade in the way that they depicted his athletic prowess. Like you were saying, he seemed more nimble. And the stunt that he pulls off effortlessly, parkours down the side of the parking garage when he's like flop, flop, flop. And that impressive series of tumbles is far above anything we've ever seen him do on screen so far, like you were saying.
But that's but Daredevil is nimble like that. That's one that's one of the perks of him losing his sight. He became more nimble.
Right.
His other senses are heightened.
But this is a sign of him getting more getting a bit of like a power boost, to better align him with other characters in the MCU, because because they'll nerf characters and they'll make them stronger or whatever to make them fit in the MCU with the other characters or whatever. But this kind of shows that he's been getting better. You know what I'm saying? He's been training. And I'm saying, like when he first started, he didn't have a costume, and then like if you watch from season 1, season 2, you see him getting better and better. And so now we see him in She-Hulk, and he's way better. It's not like a new power, but it's like an increase to the way he's able to use it.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans were surprised how Kingpin suddenly had increased.
Kingpin's always been Kingpin's always been strong like that.
Exactly.
He's always in the comics,
Right.
Exactly.
And Daredevil is as nimble as Spider-Man. We all know that in the comics as well.
Right. Yeah. Right. So now we get it. So that's what I'm saying, that they're finally making him closer to the comics, and that's what we always ask for. That's all we want. Just try and get closer to the source material. And
one thing I was shocked about during the court case, they just dropped the line that the Sokovia Accords were appealed, and I was like, wait a minute, when did that happen? Like, that was a pretty big deal. But that just shows how insignificant Civil War is as a movie, which sucks to say. But like the fact that you could just have a throwaway line and like we're not going to address that, that was pretty big.
Yeah. Well,
so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and so I was going to talk about that too, because She-Hulk's Sokovia Accord reveal promises to shape the MCU's future in 5 different ways. You had the Captain America Civil War, which is a new set of superhero rules, right, known as the Sokovia Accords, instituted all sorts of extreme regulations on the superhero community, thus providing a seemingly permanent change to how people like the Avengers operate in the MCU. And years after the Sokovia Accords were signed into law, their impact on the MCU's characters is still being felt. She-Hulk episode 8 delivered this sort of revelation concerning the current state of the Accords. It wasn't like a throwaway. They actually did that on purpose. They in the courtroom scene, when he noted that the Sokovia Accords have been repealed. Not only did this line support his argument and help him win the case, but it also carries massive implications for several of the projects on Marvel's slate for the multiverse saga. The world's government's finally tossing out the Sokovia Accords is a move that is sure to have tremendous impact on the MCU going forward. But here's what they said that it means. Ironheart is no longer illegal. Because of the Sokovia Accords, people weren't allowed to use the tech to give themselves powers. the particular rule would have been a huge plot point for Ironheart, since that's exactly what Riri Williams is on the cusp of doing in the MCU. So, and then you've got
that's what she did in the comics. That's how she got that's how she got noticed by Tony. Yeah.
Right. And now the Avengers can be off the leash because the government oversight held them back in the movies, like Captain America: Civil War, and forced a lot of them to go on the run, like the Infinity War. But things will be different for them when they return to the big screen now, because whether it be in Captain America: The New World Order or the Avengers: Kang Dynasty, but not adhering to the Sokovia Accords means that they can finally handle problems in their own way. And it's not like they just made that in Civil War and then it just was meaningless and now they're just kind of scrapping it. It's like that's kind of, they're following how they did it in the comics and creating them and then like losing them. It's all part of the storyline and it's like part of the roller coaster of the story. But it does seem like, why'd they do it then? But it's just for more drama. It's just more storytelling. Damage Control aren't enforcing the Accords because this opens up new questions about the Damage Control organization that created so much trouble for Ms. Marvel and Spider-Man in Phase 4. Presumably, they've been a thorn in the sides of the MCU's heroes during their unwavering efforts to enforce the Sokovia Accords and detain enhanced individuals whenever they fall off their radar. But if the Sokovia Accords have been repealed, that should significantly limit their authority and serve as an obstacle toward them just arresting enhanced persons without proper cause. But I haven't seen. Well, Ant-Man can be a proper superhero now because Scott Lang's punishment for helping Captain America ended in Ant-Man and the Wasp. You have Vision can come out of hiding now.
That's true.
Because remember, one of the things that targeted that many things targeted by the Sokovia Accords when they were signed was self-aware artificial intelligence, was subsequently banned by Section 36B or whatever it was. Yeah, man. So it's without any fear of Damage Control or Sword trying to incarcerate Vision, White Vision could join the MCU superhero team like the Thunderbolts, or perhaps even the next iteration of the Avengers.
I'm gonna say mutants. Now
which the Avengers, that's another thing that She-Hulk just set up. It's an even more so. The landscape of the MCU has changed massively since Phase 1 Avengers, but their impact on the universe is still big. But the Avengers caused the Sokovia Accords to be put in place to regulate and control the Avengers as well as the other lower level superheroes or enhanced individuals. The Sokovia Accords resulted in Captain America: Civil War and stayed in place all the way up to Ms. Marvel, where they were mentioned in episode 4.
Yeah.
And then but then She-Hulk episode 8 revealed that the records had been repealed, which means that the superheroes no longer restricted by the governments or the United Nations or whatever, and removing them allow the Avengers to get back to doing what they do.
But also, Reno, in the episode before that, when she was at Blonsky's retreat, I mean, those guys had powers and they were running around free. Frogman was just in the last episode, suited up and fighting for justice. Didn't go too well for him, but he did it. And that also proves it right there, that you got people running around. The one guy made a costume for him. And he was trying to sue him because the jets burnt his legs up. But
the Sokovia Accords being repealed also inadvertently make Kang the Conqueror more powerful, restricting the heroes from fighting unrestricted and even going to great lengths to imprison or stop superheroes altogether, similar to in Ms. Marvel. the Sokovia Accords were allowing Kang to avoid being confronted. In footage released for the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, you see Kang implies to Scott Lang that he's killed plenty of Avengers in different universes, making Kang a bigger threat than Thanos. The Sokovia Accords restricting superheroes allowed Kang to work unnoticed, and his latest variant, unleashed after the events of Loki, is the biggest threat the Avengers have faced so far, because Doom hasn't come yet. But the repealing of Sokovia Accords will allow the Avengers to band together and create a stronger team than they had before. And the MCU needs a stronger team to be able to defeat Kang, especially as he's become more powerful under the Sokovia Accords. So now the Avengers will finally be able to avenge, no matter what it takes. But they'll have characters from like the new Avengers, the young Avengers rather, that they've been sort of setting up with all the different shows and stuff like that.
Just a lot of stuff. She-Hulk's been setting up a lot. I mean, even putting Leapfrog in there sets up a lot. It was able to get them to put Daredevil in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a funny show that they're using as a vehicle to set up little certain shit, and it's just entertainment, man. It's not really like to be taken seriously. It's just I just but the ending of episode 8 ended on a promising note for the finale. You got the Daredevil and all of that was great, but I think a lot of people, while Jen's escapades with Daredevil in the episode are fairly self-contained, the self-aware nature of the show makes sure to convey to the audience that the ending sequence of Jen's gala is the big twist that people have been waiting for, revealing the dark ending behind She-Hulk villains Intelligentsia. The ending sequence seemingly confirms and pokes fun at some different theories that audiences have come up with over the run of the series, while setting up for an intriguing finale. I think that will be sure to focus solely on Jen and her character, thus far, the character arc. But with that being said, I think here you've got the ending is multifaceted, I will say. Commenting on Jen as a whole and her views on She-Hulk and how, that's going to be different, going forward. And the reveals of the villains behind the show. Firstly, you got in relation to Intelligentsia, the show is leaning away from a lot of the theories conjured online, stating that the leader is behind the group or in order to build a Hulk of his own. And the show even goes out of its way to have Jen directly address the reality of an MCU Red Hulk through Intelligentsia. And that being said, the final episode could reveal, the leader's involvement and set up for the future MCU stories in typical, MCU style. But the ending of She-Hulk sort of gives us the nature of Intelligentsia, at least regarding how it pertains to Jen herself. Unfortunately, the reality behind Intelligentsia is that their main goal is the assassination of Jen's character, right? Which will likely turn more sinister in the finale with the storyline surrounding Jen's blood and her DNA and the Hulk serum or whatever it is. But in the ending, Intelligentsia hijacked Jen's gala for her nomination of Female Lawyer of the Year, and she gets, loses her shit and tears down the wall by weaponizing her femininity and agency against her. But like we saw in episode 7's ending, Josh stole data from her phone, the guy that they had the dates with, and he took a picture of her asleep before he left. Then Intelligentsia used all of this data and non-consensual videos of Jen and Josh together to slut shame Jen in front of her friends and family and colleagues. But by using Jen's completely normal life of dating profiles, personal images, and private romantic life, Intelligentsia is attempting to paint her as a villain. You know what I'm saying? And this reveals Jen, causes Jen to go into a completely justified She-Hulk rage, which despite the justification, only contributes to their plan to make her look bad and tear her character down. But the plan is evident, I think, in the final shot where which ends the episode on an unusually depressing note. She looks right at the camera, like she's done all season, but this time it's like with a pained, defeated look that conveys, to the audience that Jen, through She-Hulk, has given the villainous intelligentsia exactly what they wanted, and she just realized it. And no matter how justified she is in relation to, their actions, her flying into the rage, destroying the gala, and attacking, their goons in view of the, everyone, and damage control, it makes her the monster. And that's what they've tried to paint her as. So thematically, this makes sense to be the meaning behind the final shot, harkening back to Bruce's words to Jen in episode 1. When people start seeing you as a monster, that never goes away. Of course, the final shot could also be Jen's realization of something else. That intelligentsia has taken her blood for other nefarious purposes, and the series has been hinting at the realization, at Jen's realization of this. And from the Wrecking Crew's attempt, in episode 3, the guys with the little weapons, and to Saracen, the vampire guy's jokes, but his line about Josh wanting her blood, and then she even makes a joke about Red Hulk being the show's big twist. And then the final shot, despite likely being Jen's thematic realizations, could also be her realizing that intelligentsia has a bigger plan in motion. That's that sets up the finale. What do you guys think is going to happen in the finale? Because all this begs the question of where all of these threads will lead in the finale. And obviously Jen is going to have to confront them in some way. And the finale could do this in a number of ways. You got Daredevil, right? You got Jen's newfound willingness to use her She-Hulk power to help people when the law fails, which kind of Matt Murdock taught her. And this was evident by the first use of her super suit made by Luke and her first official superhero activities of the show. And this could be setting up like a final action-packed confrontation with the people behind Intelligentsia's plan. You know what I'm saying? We don't know who that's going to be, really. Could be something dope. She could be apprehended by damage control, which could lead to an ending that sort of gives us, I don't know, maybe... It's tough to say.
I think it's gonna lead to another season. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna drag it out, and then she's gonna have a wow moment where she's gonna break the fourth wall and say, Macaulay Culkin, and then we gotta wait for season 2. Yeah, that's my opinion.
There's a lot of threads being set up in the penultimate episode. That's ridiculous. There's just not enough time to really have that conclusion in the final episode. So I really don't know where it's going to go, but I think ultimately that story is going to have to be completed in the season 2. I just don't know if there's enough time because the episodes are typically like 30 minutes long. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. That is a lot. It's a lot to set up in the penultimate episode. That's a lot. So I think you're right. They're gonna set up Stu. I think it's gotta be the setup for the next season. Can't really wrap all that up in the next episode.
No, you can't. I mean, less than episode's like 2 hours long.
Right.
Make it a feature-length film.
we were lucky to get Werewolf by Night for 55 minutes, bro.
It was it was like almost 50 minutes without credits, which that's an achievement.
Exactly.
Speaking of Werewolf by Night, damn, that was a good movie.
Man, listen.
That was amazing.
Definitely one of my favorite.
You know what?
projects right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta apologize here on live on air because we ain't giving much hope. We didn't give it much hope. We were kind of like, yeah, like, all right, well, by night, all right, we'll see what it is when it come out. But it was thoroughly enjoyed.
It was phenomenal.
It was great.
And I thoroughly
Really
enjoyed
cool.
I'm
Really
glad
cool.
it. A lot of Easter eggs.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Stu.
No. A lot of Easter eggs. A lot of head nods. A lot of it opened up a lot of things for the MCU, even more than She-Hulk. It opens up Blade. Opens up Midnight Suns. It opens up Dracula. It opens up all of the supernatural beings in the Marvel universe, and there are a lot. Dracula is actually a major player in the Marvel universe. And we know this because in Marvel Comics, Wolverine's fought Dracula. Everybody's had a run in here and there with Dracula or vampires in the Marvel MCU. I mean, not the MCU, just the regular Marvel comics. So that opens all that up. Bloodstone, that opens all of that up. Ghost Rider can now come into the MCU because of Werewolf by Night. So we can get Doctor Strange can actually fight some supernatural creatures. Man-Thing is like Swamp Thing. It even opens up the door for Swamp Thing.
That's DC, bro. Can't cross-publish.
We love Swamp Thing, though.
We do love
Hopefully we get it because they have crossed them over in the comics. But hopefully we can get Man-Thing versus Swamp Thing.
That would be dope. That would be dope. That would be dope.
Now the way they did Man-Thing, I like Man-Thing because he did everything he can do in the car. He can teleport. Man-Thing do magic. He burns people.
Yeah.
And watching somebody,
he's barely sentient. He's not really like in the comics. And that was good. I was afraid they were gonna have him talking and shit because in the comics,
me too.
Yeah,
he's just he's barely sentient. He's literally like a living plant in a way, but he's like Swamp Thing, but less sentient. Swamp Thing talks, I think, more, but Man-Thing don't really
Swamp
talk.
Thing talks way more.
Yeah.
But communicates with each
everything else about them is like the same thing. They were both scientists. The stories are like identical. Man-Thing was first, but they're the same, pretty much all the same, everything. But Man-Thing, like, the character is Dr. Ted Theodore Salas, and was working on recreating the super soldier serum that made Captain America. He becomes Man-Thing after he injects himself with the formula and wanders into like a swamp that happens to be at the nexus of reality, which is the center of all reality. Just happens to be in this swamp, and Man-Thing secretes an acid on anyone who he touches who feels fear. The character's been a fan favorite in Marvel Comics since his creation, and his appearance in Werewolf by Night has made him a big star with new fans, like people that didn't know about him before. So he's already like a big favorite, and the character is arguably the breakout hit of the special, and audiences are clamoring for more Man-Thing already. And I think there's some great places he could end up, like Loki.
Yep.
He could end up in Loki, Agatha Harkness, Chaos
Swamp
of Coven, Marvel Zombies.
He can wind up in Swamp Thing.
in the distant future.
Yeah.
Look, man, they gave us Ray versus Jason. We can get Swamp Thing versus Man-Thing.
I hope so. That'd be dope. That would be dope. Fingers crossed.
I can already see them like wanting him to meet up with Groot in terms of the MCU. I can already see it because they're very similar in the way they communicate with the people closest to them. So I could definitely see that. I'm very glad that this was.
I never thought of that, Sada. That's brilliant. Yeah.
I think it would work. Like if they were to meet up, I could so see that.
They were
so similar.
Yeah. They're both vegetation.
Very glad that this was like a special presentation, because I think if this were like a show, I really believe they would have botched it. I feel like they just wouldn't have had that time. Where it feels like they took their time with this to make it what they wanted it to be, and it worked out. It was great.
Yeah, I think
That
it
was
would have
real
been
great.
spread. It would have been spread too thin, like a lot of these shows have been.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really happy too that it was a
Yeah,
special.
I'm
Uh,
glad it was a special because
hell
now
yeah,
we don't have to go through like they explained everything that we needed to know about why the supernatural beings or where they've been
Right.
in the MCU this whole time. So now when they do it, if they let's just say they do a man thing, we don't have to go through this whole origin of where he was and was. Look, you can just give us a little bit of backstory and we can get on with our lives. So it's like
30 seconds
yeah,
max.
yeah, it opens up the door for everything. Like Blade's daughter, like you were saying earlier, Reno, it opens up the door for her because the way they explained it was that they've always been here. They've been here for hundreds of years, thousands of years. They've just been doing their own thing. And
yeah,
so now that they're connected, now you're like, okay, this where these guys been. So when they pop up, you'd be like, oh yeah, we seen these guys in Werewolf by Night. And the real like a lot of the homage that I like is that they started the movie in color and then they switched it to black and white as an
yeah,
homage. As
yeah.
in where they did, some where they did, some stuff in black and white and then switched it to color. I mean, because they were, in that instance, they're taking you back and they're showing you like
Mhm.
we gotta go back. So when we go back, everything's gonna be in black and white. And the only thing that was red in the whole thing was the Bloodstone.
Yeah.
And the Bloodstone
Right,
came out red.
Right up
And
until the end when things went back to color.
right.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. And
Yep.
and when it goes back to color, we go back to now. We go back to the modern day. But it was definitely. Now if we can just get them to do that with Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then you
It's
got, they had
funny.
Ulysses Bloodstone. But the only thing I didn't like was I think that they let Ulysses Bloodstone kind of represent Frankenstein because they didn't show us
Mhm.
Frankenstein. We didn't get a Frankenstein. And, he had the
No.
stitches across his forehead and all that shit. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
it you know that
Yeah. Well,
that
it
to
gives.
me, I think they should have just did a Frankenstein. Just do a Frankenstein. I'm not complaining, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying I think it would be better if they
No.
just did
Yeah.
it.
I would like to see that. And also, what's his name? There's a cool Frank Castle. It's called Franken Castle,
Yep.
where
Yeah.
Punisher gets chopped up and sewed back together and he's like a Frankenstein, and it's really cool. I have some of the comics, but this was so if anybody didn't see it yet, Norin Rad,
Spoiler.
I don't. I'll give you. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you the non spoiler sort of review a la Reno style, but it's black and white. It's only an hour long, and it tells a monster mashing supernatural standalone story with no obvious connection to the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But it is billed as a special presentation, complete with the retro logo and the 52-minute film. Uh, it opens with like an old school horror twist on the familiar Marvel intro. The same thing, but it's like it's got the bold comic book colors that fade into the silent movie sort of monochrome deal, and in the vintage style credits set the tone right in the beginning, evoking like a classic horror movie from the early days of the movies. Like that it was someone called the golden age of horror. And then Gail Garcia Bernal frowns in retro black and white for Marvel's horror pastiche, and the special effects are often purposefully janky, using like retro style smoke and mirrors, while the entire thing is shot in black and white. Unmistakable cigarette burns popping and screen. You got the
Yeah, on the
author.
screen. Yeah, that was
Super
dope.
cool.
Don't forget
I
the QR
love that.
code. Don't
Yeah.
forget the
Yeah.
QR code that's in there for Werewolf by
Yeah.
Night. You can get a digital
Yeah.
copy of
Yeah.
Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
The
Yep.
fight
And it's definitely
scenes were so dope. The fight
so
choreo
dope.
was just so
yeah, the
insane.
fight was, yeah.
It was great.
Choreography was phenomenal, man. Yeah, dude. In the
And one,
MCU, the
one
MCU as
small
a whole.
tidbit, too, for that is I got to take my hats off. I really got to take my hat off to the set builders. Those
Yeah.
sets that
Yeah.
we saw in that movie, they were specifically built. There's no CGI when it comes to the background. They said all of that was built.
Right.
And it was
Yep.
actually built and colored a certain way so that it would pop in black and white,
Yeah.
and you could see more detail in
Yeah.
black and white when they filmed it. So
Yeah.
I gotta
Like
take
a lot
my,
of people
you know,
don't. Yeah, because a lot of people don't realize when you film in black and white, like for instance, blood, right? Blood, if you're filming in color, you use red, and that's for blood. But if you use red in black and white, it comes off as gray or whatever. So they use like chocolate syrup,
Mm-hmm.
something that's almost black, liquid. And so yeah, so they do certain shit like that because certain shit shows up different in black and white. And that's all shit they used to do back in the day before movies were color. But She-Hulk is supposed to. Well, you had like okay, so the MCU is big, and it's sort of swelled to the point where the superhero is no longer a genre by itself. You got the individual, each new film or TV series leans into a different genre of the genre. For instance, like your Captain America movies are your spy thrillers, Guardians are like your space operas, She-Hulk is like your comedies. So they have different genres of the superhero genre. And so this is like the horror genre. And we had the Sam Raimi Multiverse of Madness was basically a horror movie, but more like for the whole family kind of horror movie. But this is perfect for Halloween. We got the sort of classic influences, Werewolf by Night, black and white, sort of old 1930s monster movies, and we finally do see the werewolf, which descends into a far gorier rampage than you might expect, especially considering it's a Marvel movie. Yeah, I was
Win.
surprised.
Win.
Yes, big win. I
I
was
was like,
super
black
happy.
and white was the chance for them to just kind of go all out as far as like gore or push that
Right.
boundary, and they did. And I'm very happy.
it is, but it isn't solid. It was actually a head nod to the Wizard of Oz. Back
Really?
then when they made the Wizard of Oz, Technicolor was the big thing.
Right.
So when you watch the Wizard of Oz and Dorothy opens the door, they start the whole movie in black and white. And then when she opens the door and she steps into the land of Oz, everything goes into color. So Werewolf by
Mm,
Night did the exact opposite. They started you off in color and then they went to black and white
mm.
in order to show that, we're taking it back, further than Technicolor. We're going back to when they were black and white.
No, she's
And
saying
these,
she's saying that by doing it in black and white, it allows them to do more blood and guts and stuff
oh
like
yeah,
that.
oh definitely,
Oh
oh
yeah, yeah.
definitely.
Sorry, I was like, wait,
Oh, I
what?
like the
Yeah,
way
that's
that
what.
no, I like the way they
Mhm.
did I like the way they did the blood and all that.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't a
yeah.
lot of gore, but it was
Yeah, but it
good.
was
Like it was
perfect. It
It
was
was
like just the
tasteful.
perfect amount,
right. It was
Yeah,
tasteful. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Because I
Think
was afraid it was going to be bad horror. I just
nah,
was afraid. I
I
really
was
was, bro.
tense, man. I was tense. And they
yeah.
actually got me with the jump scares, which is very hard to do for me, because they're so
Mm,
abundant in horror films. But
especially
they
now,
got me.
yeah.
Yeah, especially now. So good.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Y'all wasn't wait.
Things
Y'all wasn't scared. Y'all wasn't scared when y'all watched Jason Takes Manhattan.
No.
Terrified. I ain't sleep for weeks.
Oh
I
oh
no.
ain't sleep for
no.
weeks, bro.
I don't think a Jason movie scared me since part 2. But
Wow.
yeah, I was a little kid. But things get more bloody and blood spattered than any previous Marvel flick. That's for sure. Which is a welcome key change, man. We are happy about this. And there's so much Marvel stuff around these days with Werewolf by Night coming right in the middle of She-Hulk's weekly run of episodes, and each new thing desperately needs some whiff of novelty, or in this case, blood. But it in its gloriously affectionate horror stylings, Werewolf by Night throws in several memorable scenes, including one of the most intense Marvel moments in recent memory, as the camera sort of closes in on grotesque silhouettes against the darkness, and this flick homages expressionist horror with like the maze and the graveyard setting and the crackly gramophone, music in the background, and,
Mhm.
and just like in the silent movies like Nosferatu. But probably the biggest influence is the assortment of horror films made uh, by Universal movies, Universal Pictures back in the 30s and 40s, like Dracula,
Oh yeah, they used to have
Frankenstein.
a hold on that. Yeah.
That's all Universal. That's all Universal. The Mummy, Wolfman.
Yeah, it is. Mummy, Wolfman. Yep.
They had a hold on those movies. Yeah.
They did. And it's kind of hilarious.
Now,
That
what
Marvel
happened?
and
Now, wait a
Disney
minute. What happened to that? Remember they were. Wait a minute.
Well, that's what I was about to
Remember
say.
they were supposed to do like a.
That's what I'm talking about. It's funny that Marvel and
supposed
Disney
to do
Universal was just trying to reboot all that shit.
Right, yeah, we never got it. Yeah, we got the Mummy, and that was it. Yeah, it was just dropped the ball.
Didn't they try to do the Dark Universe?
The Dark Universe, right? Was supposed to rival Marvel's box office, MCU stuff, but even Tom Cruise couldn't stop the whole enterprise turning to dust the moment that the Mummy busted out, man. It was trash, bro. And then 2020 you had The Invisible Man, which marked a critically acclaimed rethink, leaving the way, wide open for Marvel to step in and show Universal how it's done, and they have done so. But of course, not everyone's going to get on board with this old age timey cinema. I know this is not for everybody. Like, I'm sure some people were like, "What's that shit?" So but you can't, everybody can't. Everything's not for everybody. But you can't accuse Werewolf By Night of wearing out its welcome. A lot of TV shows, there's a lot of TV shows these days. They just can't sustain being stretched over 8 to 10 hours. Like the stories, they just don't have it in the writing. Like Sada was saying before, it's so dope that they made it a movie, because stretching it over, like I'm more happy to dive into, bite-sized, hour-long special presentation format with stuff like Hawkeye or Falcon and Winter Soldier, She-Hulk. All of that could have been, even Morbius could have been better if it was just like a little 1 hour special, or something like that. And then you've got December's Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special coming up. That's going to be good. But yeah, like
I'm kind of mixed on the special presentation, because it reminds me of like the DC shorts, which are great. And they take like, characters that aren't very well known, some that are, and they give them that light for a little bit. And I feel like in that case, it could work. Like with this, if they take maybe characters who aren't so established, like I think She-Hulk maybe could have worked in this format. But I feel like if they're established, we just need longer form content. So I'm like in the middle. I think this is a great new format and they should keep it going, but maybe just for lesser known characters, and even like whole genres, like they just opened the door for the monsters of Marvel. So, it could work.
Because a lot of these shows would have been better as a movie. They would have been better shorter. But it's not necessarily because of the character or the show or anything, or even the best way to do it. Honestly, I'm saying this for to handicap for these writers that they got over there, because y'all just can't seem to
I don't know. They just can't get it together.
They can't. I don't know. It's like, I think y'all are better at shorter
just
stories.
Just formatted as a movie, because it's so bizarre, because I feel like the shows are formatted as like 6-hour movies chopped up, and it doesn't work. That's why I give She-Hulk credit. It's really the only one that feels like an actual TV show,
with individual episodes that start and finish.
And you feel like, oh, okay, we're gonna catch up next week, where the other ones, it's like, oh, I need to catch up right now. So it's very weird.
Like Andor is that way. Like Andor is it's like a long movie that they just cut up in weird places. Like they don't even end, but it's so fucking good that I can't even complain.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it works.
That's the best.
I think this is what Multiverse of Madness should have been. I think it's what we want it to be, and for some reason it just didn't hit the mark. But I think it's what it should have been, definitely.
And I'm a big advocate for shows. Like I was a film guy. Like all I did was watch movies. I hated TV until HBO started doing shit like Sopranos and stuff like that, and up till Game of Thrones. But like the premium channel HBO, stuff like that, and then A&E did Breaking Bad and Walking Dead, and stuff started to get better. So I started to get into shows more, and then it got to the point where I would prefer shows over movies, because now the movies just aren't as good as they used to be. The movies kind of suck unless it's a Marvel movie or something, and even those are hit or miss now. But so I'm more into shows, but with some of these, like lately, it's been like, man, that should have been a movie. Like this is not, or maybe it's the way Disney presents them. It is like you were saying, like having to wait a week between some of these shows doesn't work.
No,
Some of these I need to binge it.
no, because remember you told me that you was like, yeah, because remember you told me that you was like, yo, you ever just binge watch Mandalorian? I was like, nah. You was like, try it. You was like, it's way better, and I went and did it. I was like, yo, he was right. This joint was fire. Like I was like, yo, this is. I mean, it was already good, but it was just way better.
Right.
I just sat there and watched the whole thing, beginning to end.
Experience. Whole different experience.
Netflix understands. They understand what their content is, and that's why they come out with a show outside of the K-dramas, which that format works for them. They release all the episodes, and you binge it because they know their content is to be binged, and I feel like Disney needs to get with that. And if you don't want to, then you need to reformat your shows because it's not working.
Right. What do y'all? Who's y'all's favorite? And this in the chat too. Who's your favorite classic monster out of Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, Bride of Frankenstein, the Wolf Man, and the Creature from the Black Lagoon?
I'd have to say Dracula for me.
Werewolf.
That came from when I watched Batman versus Dracula. That's kind of where that came from.
I was the werewolf too, Stu. Dracula, it goes back and forth. Dracula is definitely, because Dracula, like Bram Stoker's Dracula is phenomenal. That movie was dope. Like the reboot,
it is.
In the 90s. That was phenomenal, man. And then Jack Nicholson did Wolf. They redid Wolfman, and that was super good too. So they're both great. But I went through different phases. Me personally, I went through like werewolf. I was into werewolves, and then I was into vampires. So it goes back and forth. But so far, we got 3 for Dracula.
Yes.
Yep. And my man Slade says the Black Lagoon. That's the one that I really just don't know about. Like I don't know shit about it. Like every time I see it all the time, and I'm like, what is that movie about? Like I don't even know that one. That's the one I don't know.
What? You never saw a Creature? I own that joint.
No, I never saw
it from Walmart. I bought it on Blu-ray from Walmart. And I watched it. It was still just as good as it was when I first saw it.
What's it about? Is it like
what about? Because I don't know either.
He's a the monster gets her.
Nah, it's like it's an expedition. They go to the Amazon, whatever. They find this creature. They heard stories of a creature, and they went to go see if it was true. They find the creature. It's a man fish-like creature, but then he falls in love with the woman on the boat, which they always fall in love with the woman. Right. He snatches the woman off the boat, and basically it's like King. The best way I can describe it, if you've never seen it, it's like King Kong, but with the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah,
because there's a woman in the middle. There's a woman between the man, the creature, and then there's a woman in the middle, and they kind of like fight for the dominance, and they wind up killing the creature at the end. Yeah, they wind up killing him at the end, and then they had Return. He came back to life somehow, and there was like a part 2. He came back like a Return of the Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But he basically would go underwater and swim. He was super nimble, but he would get out the boat. He'd be on the boat and he'd kill everybody. He's walking like this. You gotta watch it, man. It's good.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I thought it was kind of kind of wacky, but it was kind of scary at the same time. But
right.
Oh, and then they did it in 3D too. I forgot. Yeah, Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well,
before our time, all of us.
yeah. That's an oldie but a goodie. So House of the Dragon, we got to talk about episode 8, man, because damn,
it was good,
man. Let me just This episode was like, and I say this, I've said this probably like every review. This episode is the best. It's the best one yet. They keep being the best one yet, and that's a great sign. Every episode has been better than the last. I mean, you can't hate on a show where every episode is better than the last. It's definitely the best drama on the air right now. That could sound like a very exaggerated statement. However, when people see what the writers and the rest of the filmmakers and actors and every other department have in store for this episode of this show, it's going to be hard to deny it. You've got House of the Dragon has not only saved Game of Thrones as a franchise, but also has given an important flow of viewers to the HBO Max streaming service, and has become an example of what appointment television should be like. I mean, it's been a while since we had a show like this, and I think Game of Thrones was the last time. Where everyone's talking about it, everyone's watching it, you know what I'm saying? And this is that one of those shows. The eighth episode of Fuck House Targaryen, they're trash. they're
coming in hot.
It's a lot. The eighth episode is called Lord of the Tides, and the title is a reference to Corlys Velaryon, the current holder of the title, and also to Lucerys Velaryon, which is the second son of Rhaenyra, who has become the apparent heir of the title after Corlys. And these two characters are very important for what happens in this episode. And yet you feel like they become completely unimportant once the bigger characters come into the scene. And this is an episode with a lot of drama and emotion. Of course, it all works thanks to the excellent, work of the writing team. And this is one of those shows where the writers are really doing their job well. The writers have managed to charge very spoken lines with much meaning and weight, as they possibly can. And because of it, every single conversation that happens during this episode feels like it's just as important as it could be and should be. And there are some lines in this episode that are absolutely bone chilling, and they're really managed to come across as end of the world type stuff. The writers have put a lot of effort into creating and molding these characters to perfection, and the result has just been amazing. Some of this episode was very hard to watch. King Viserys here is just literally falling apart. He's got a mask on now because half of his face is gone, and he can't walk barely. And he made his way to the throne room, and it was very intense. But like I said, man, hard to watch some of them scenes. But you're right, Slade. It is so goddamn good. Very impressed with the writing. Can't say it enough. And there has been some criticism going around that the time jumps in the show don't allow for character development, but I believe that the show has proved the absolute opposite by only focusing on the most important moments of these people's lives. The series avoids creating scenes that feel like filler. There's no filler in the show. No filler.
Like Lord of the Rings.
There's no filler scenes. Lord of the Rings is like all fucking filler.
Yeah.
Or Rings of Power, I mean.
Yeah, Rings of Power, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
But this show, it's like only laser focus on the important shit. And I think that, that's, I want to say brave of a show to do that, because that means that, you don't have any filler. That means everything has to be good and everything has to be important. But so far, they've not been daunted by only focusing on these important moments. I think it just makes the show that much more sharp. And here in House of the Dragon, every scene is meaningful, and every character is only shown when making a decision that builds their character or advances the plot. This is expert writing. This is novel writing. This is textbook how. I've read a lot of books on how to write a novel, basically, because I wrote a novel and I wanted to write a novel, and I read a lot of literature on how to write. And this shit is like by the book, how you write the character's journey, making every line, every scene advance the story. Like everything is important, everything makes sense, and the time jumps have only made the character development tighter. And this episode is the type of episode you end up receiving awards for. Like the direction is beautiful and potent. Every scene is handled in the best possible way. You got the costume design is also through the roof, just like Game of Thrones was. This department definitely becomes an important part of the episodes. Uh, and as the series progresses, the importance of the colors and the suits that the characters use are definitely something that you got to keep an eye on. The cinematography is also quite amazing with some shots that really, that will really stay in people's minds after the episode's over. Um, and but that what really makes this episode, I think, stand out is the acting. Um, because the writing is there, don't get me wrong, but the way that this is portrayed to the point that even the guy that plays the king, George R. R. Martin, that wrote these books that these is based on, told him personally, "Your King Viserys is better than my King Viserys," and he wrote the
Wow.
character. That's a huge, that's a lot,
That's a huge compliment.
Yeah, that's a big, yeah, exactly. And every single actor on here does an amazing job. The usual suspects come to mind, but one of the real standouts in the episode is Ewan Mitchell in the role of Aemon Targaryen. The actor makes his debut in as the adult version of the character in this episode, and it's clear that he's going to become a fan favorite. Aemon is basically the parallel of Daemon Targaryen on the side of the Greens because he's just as unpredictable as his uncle. I'm talking about the guy with the patch on his eye. So you've got Daemon Targaryen, which is he's the main. He was the son, the prince. That he's been the guy, and he's on Rhaenyra's team. The blacks, and then the and Aemon is on the greens. But mainly the main reason to watch this episode, again, like I said, is Patty Considine's performance as King Viserys. Like I was literally like it's hard, like it was hard to fucking look at. Like I felt like this is my grandfather or my uncle or something going through this terrible disease. Like he plays it so convincingly, man. You feel for him, like you feel this guy's pain. You're like, God damn, please feed him a fucking Vicodin or something. But he's drinking plenty of milk of the poppy, trust me. But yeah, he kills it, knocks it out of the park. And his performance, like I said, was praised by George R. R. Martin as better than the character he wrote. But the characters have been going through unbelievable changes throughout this whole series so far. But here the actor pulls from every other moment in the show and really pulls off a performance unlike anything that we've seen this year on television or in film. Hands down, no question. Constantine will probably receive tons of awards for this episode. Emmys, whatever.
Better than Love and Thunder.
That's a tall order, so I'm not gonna say that, but he does deserve these awards. He does deserve some awards for this.
Yeah, he does. He does.
By the end of it is, and by the end of the episode, you cannot but watch the credits roll and analyze the gargantuan acting job Constantine just pulled off in front of your eyes. Like that's like you're literally sitting there going like, "What did I just?" And the visual effects team also goes to the next level with some amazing VFX work that is so much more subtle than the fantastic job that they've done by creating dragons. We don't often see this quality of visual effects on a TV show because not many productions can afford it. It's fucking expensive. And, thankfully, House of the Dragon can pay for it. And it just ends up enhancing the scenes so much that it's hard to imagine how the scenes would have been without them. Really, the VFX teams deserve a lot of praise and some awards too for what they've done with what they got. because even like I said, even the king's like his eye is missing and his jawbone or whatever. So like even the VFX that they're using in subtle wounds on the character, you know what I'm saying, compared to like a dragon, like they're using it in subtle ways, just so seamlessly that it almost looks like it's, you know, physical effects. It's so well done. But episode 8 cements the show as one of the best dramas of the year and the best currently on the air. And HBO has always been proud of producing appointment television. And they make an event out of the release of each episode, and you can see why they have such a reputation. And many other networks and streaming services wish they could pull off something like this, but you know, it requires a lot of talent and experience to do it. But it's like that's my litmus test. Like when I compare a show and I look at a show on like Disney Plus or you know, when you hear me say, you know, when I'm watching Obi-Wan and I'm like, this is just what the fuck is this? This is just cheap bullshit. That's what I'm comparing it to. I'm comparing it to shit like that HBO does. Because you can't tell me Disney don't have that kind of money. They could do it.
They got more than that kind of money. They got way more.
You can't tell me they. So you can't give me that the budget bullshit. Nah. So the acting was so good when I seen the king come in with his gold mask. I yelled, "Please just die!" Yeah. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, he was looking bad. I mean, he was looking. It was believable because you was like, damn. As I thought he was going to die, but I was like, he about to die now. He about to die within his next scene. He done. Like,
he
done, son. But
yeah.
He was.
Yeah, but he's dead. He dies. So he died. But he will. So next episode will be the war. I think is going to be popped off. So this episode really gave us the setups for the war. Spoiler alert, guys, if you haven't seen it yet, a little bit of detail. More than 6 years have passed on Westeros as a minor question of a state law becomes kingdom destabilizing. And on the latest, you know, sort of agreement or accord that they signed between the families. But the good news is that's a cue for another emotional family reunion. Though the dominant emotions are suspicion, fear, and anger, yet amid all the chaos, you know, there's reasons to hope for reconciliation among the warring relations. It's like we see them make up, like Rhaenyra and the Queen literally make up to the point that they're like about to be sisters again. Like it's about to be love again. Like everything is about to be cool. And then the king on his deathbed is he thinks he's talking to Rhaenyra, but it's the queen. And so Rhaenyra is the only one, because she's his heir, that knows about the Song of Ice and Fire, which is Game of Thrones. That's the Song of Ice and Fire, the Night King and the Army of the Dead and all of that whole event. That's the Song of Ice and Fire. And it's been passed down since the Valyrian kings of old have passed down that prophecy to their heir. So every ruler has known about that prophecy, about that coming event. And, you know, the prince who was promised and all of that. So that we know from Game of Thrones. So he is out of his mind and he thinks he's talking to Rhaenyra, his daughter, the heir, who knows about the Song of Ice and Fire. But it's the queen. Queen doesn't know about it because no one knows about it except Rhaenyra. So he's telling the queen, he's like, yeah, he's like the Song of Ice and Fire, and the prince who was promised, and Aemon, Aegon or whatever. And he's saying this name because it happens to be the same name of the queen's son, who she always wanted to be the heir, but who wasn't the heir because it was the king's daughter. So by him saying this to the queen, her not knowing about the Song of Ice and Fire, she thinks he's talking about her son. So she thinks that his dying request on his deathbed is to say, fuck Rhaenyra. She's not making. I feel like it's wishful. I feel like she heard what she wanted to hear, because you know damn well after what just happened at that dinner, and he brought everyone together, and how badly he wants everyone to be at peace and be cool. She knows he wouldn't say no shit like that, but it's what she wanted to hear, so that's what she heard. And she didn't know. In her defense, she knew nothing about the Song of Ice and Fire, so what the hell else could he be talking about? So, but she should have been like, are you sure? Or wait a minute, or something. But she just takes it and runs with it. So not not so that's pretty much
it is. But it unfolds in a way. It unfolds in a way where where we get to see how the whole war starts. What started it, and then hopefully they go into the war and we get to see the war.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely moving faster than Lord of the Rings. I mean, Rings of Power.
Oh yeah.
Rings of Power is just dragging the story out. But I give them credit. The sets are great. Costumes are excellent. Acting superb. But damn, they gotta move on with that story.
I'd like to make an edit of that show.
That makes two of them.
Yeah, I would like to take Rings of Power and edit out a whole bunch of shit, and it would still be.
It's a lot of filler. A lot of filler that we don't need. A lot of filler we don't need. And if you're gonna give it to us, like Durin. We don't need Durin. We didn't need Durin.
Durin?
Yeah, we didn't.
He's my favorite character in the show.
Not as much as they giving him. Let me put it like, we don't need Durin as much as they give him.
The dwarf. The dwarf.
Yeah.
King? He's my favorite character. Him and he's my favorite character right now.
Yeah. No, I like Durin. And I like the way but I just think they give us too much Durin, because it's not like Durin it's not moving the story along. Durin, it's just not moving the story along. It's
well, we're right. I don't know if you saw the last episode, but right now the Durin is the whole center of what's going on right now with Elrond and the Mithril mines.
Right, the Mithril line, right? Yeah,
King,
because they found Mithril. Yeah, they found Mithril, and then the elves are like, "Look, we need that."
Yeah.
But what about the starlight crystals? They don't talk about that either.
No, that's not. They're not bringing that into it. But so
I know they can't. I know they can't, but.
Yeah, the king was like, nah. He was like, nah, I'm not gonna let him mine the Mithril. That's just
too dangerous.
That's too bad for him, and it's too dangerous, whatever, so we're not gonna do it. And but Doran is like, that's my brother. They're gonna die without it. Like, fuck that. So eventually, long story short, back and forth, the king's not gonna have it. Then his wife, Doran, and his wife decide, you know what, you're gonna be the king anyway in a minute. Like, just go do what you got to do for your son, for your friend, for your brother. And so him and Elrond, just them two, they go and start mining the Mithril. And the king finds out, throws Elrond out, has a fight with Durin and snatch his chain off and all of this. And then he's like, they fall out. And then then him and his wife talk again, and they're like, you know what, you just gonna have to call Elrond, man, and y'all gonna have to do it. And then we see the king toss that leaf down, and it falls all the way down, way down to the center of wherever the fuck, and awakens the Balrog.
The Balrog,
yeah. And so
now we know how the Balrog got woke.
Right.
Because then we know how we got Durin. Then we got Durin's folk. That's how we
And the Balrog, so the Balrog changes shit. The Balrog changes a lot of shit. At the end of episode 7, we see the Balrog, and he's been stirring under the dwarf mines, because if you remember in Lord of the Rings, what they say about the dwarves delve too deeply and they know what they awoke, right? Talking about they awoke the Balrog and shit. And but what exactly, is this fiery monster, and how does it relate to the rest of Tolkien's world? In Tolkien's mythology, Balrogs are corrupted Maiar, and the Maiar are spirits created by God, called Ilúvatar, to help the Valar, also spirits but more powerful, a bit similar to pagan gods like Zeus and all of that, and goddesses and shit like that, to shape the world. So the Maiar are sort of like assistants of the gods. When I say gods, I mean like I said, like Mount Olympus gods, not God like the Judeo-Christian God of all God, but more like deities.
Right.
But the Maiar are less powerful than the Valar, and they more or less work for them. And then one of the Valar, Morgoth, rebelled and turned to the dark side and corrupted some of the Maiar and turned them into Balrogs. And since Morgoth has some broad similarity with the Christian figure of Lucifer, the fallen angel who rebelled against God, it's not surprising that the Balrogs are a bit like Christian demons. And Tolkien called them demons of terror in the Silmarillion. And the Balrog that lives under the mines of Moria will be very familiar with anyone who has read, or very familiar to anyone that's read Lord of the Rings or seen any of the movies or cartoons or any of that, because it is the one that Gandalf so memorably fought on the bridge of Khazad-dûm. And Tolkien described the Balrog that Gandalf fought as like a great shadow, in the middle of which was a dark form of a man, shape maybe yet greater. The flames roared up to greet it and wreathed about it, and black smoke swirled in the air. Its streaming mane kindled and blazed behind it. Its right hand was a blade like a stabbing tongue of fire, and his left hand held the whip of many thongs. In the Silmarillion, he said, their hearts were of fire, but they were cloaked in darkness. They had whips of flame. And so that kind of reminds me of the way they described some shit in Revelations in the Bible. 7 heads and all of it. But the exact appearance of the Balrog, which Tolkien left so thoughtfully vague, was the subject of some controversy among Tolkien fans when Peter Jackson's adaptation came out, because of one detail: wings. In the book, Tolkien said that the shadow about it reached out like 2 vast wings, and then barely half a page later, its wings were spread from wall to wall. And so began decades of speculation. Does the Balrog have wings, or does the shadow around it just look like wings? And if it does have wings, why does it fall into a chasm when Gandalf fights it? So that's why it doesn't have wings. So, but then Ralph Bakshi famously gave the Balrog fairly substantial wings in his 1978 animated adaptation of the first half of The Lord of the Rings. Meanwhile, Peter Jackson attempted to have his cake and eat it too by giving his Balrog shadowy wings. So it wasn't clear whether they were actual physical wings or just part of the smoke and shadow surrounding the Balrog, just like Tolkien's text. So far, the Rings of Power has gone the same route as Jackson, as the image is shown while Gil-galad is describing the fight between elf hero and Balrog, show smoky bat-like wings looming behind the Balrog, but it's not clear how substantial they really are. And the whole thing with the horns and all that, it kind of looks like almost like a minotaur, but the way he described it was almost like a big man with like a mane of fiery hair. So we're not really getting like what they really look like in the show. But Gandalf is also a Maiar, okay? Like what the Balrogs once were. So Gandalf, Balrogs, Sauron, Saruman, Radagast, the mysterious blue wizards, whom Tolkien never began to write much about. So when Gandalf fights either Sauron or a Balrog, it's a rare occasion that sees him fighting a being just as powerful as himself, which is why defeating the Balrog in Fellowship of the Ring actually kills him, and his spirit later has to be returned to Middle-earth by Ilúvatar as Gandalf the White. So So they're basically all the same kind of beings, or come from. But exactly how many Balrogs were in existence was another of those topics that Tolkien kept changing his mind about. Early in early drafts, later published in the Book of Lost Tales, he imagined that there were hundreds or even thousands of them. For most of the Silmarillion, there have always been talked about in the plural. It's usually Balrogs running around doing evil in a large group. And then there's a character called Gothmog, Lord of Balrogs, which suggests that there are quite a few around for him to be Lord of. And the parallels with the Christian demons from hell are fairly clear, there. And so, however, towards the end of the Silmarillion, Tolkien says that the Balrogs were destroyed, and saves some few that fled and hid themselves in caverns inaccessible at the roots of the earth. So basically, they were all destroyed, but a few ran and hid, like at the bottom of the mines of Moria. That's where they went down to, and presumably he intended this as an explanation for the Balrog that was disturbed when the dwarves mined too deeply in Moria, and which Gandalf later fought. Christopher Tolkien, his son, wrote in his History of Middle Earth that his father had put a note in the margin saying that actually there should have been 3 or at the most 7 Balrogs in existence at all. Considering as Maiar, they ought to be on the same level of power as Gandalf or Sauron, and that would actually make more sense. But since it was only a late note in the margin, it's more likely that the Rings of Power will go with the other explanation, that most of them were destroyed at an earlier time. But the story of Gil-galad tells Elrond about the Balrog under Moria in episode 5, that an elf and a Balrog were fighting over a special tree and were struck by lightning, doesn't come from Tolkien's Legendarium, which is probably why Gil-galad ever so slightly cheekily tells Elrond about is an obscure legend regarded by most to be, apocryphal. It has some similarities with the story of the elf hero Glorfindel fighting and killing a Balrog at a high mountain pass and being killed in the process. He gets better. But the tree, although again similar to some other Tolkien trees, in the story as an origin story for Mithril, is a new invention for this show. And there are a lot of that, and it seems pretty clear that the series is saying that their invented Balrog is the one that's now lurking under Moria, eventually to be killed by Gandalf, but not for many centuries. The only problem is that in Tolkien lore, it's said that the Balrog wasn't actually awoken by the dwarves until the Third Age, meaning that he's arisen in the Rings of Power an age too early. So, known as Durin's Bane, after slaying King Durin V, the sixth, the Balrog's reign of terror inside the mines is what forces the dwarves to eventually abandon Moria, which is why it's deserted by the time the Fellowship arrives to travel through it. And while the Balrog might be up a little earlier than expected, it's been clear from the start that the Rings of Power would definitely, tell its own story when it came to, the history of Middle Earth, even confirming that the timeline of the Second Age would be condensed for the purposes of the TV series. But it still doesn't quite explain why the Balrog has awoken in the Second Age instead of the Third Age. But by tying the Balrog's presence to the existing Mithril itself, which was rare but could also be found in Numenor in Tolkien's lore, the series is looking to create a more coherent story following the creation of Mithril as the result of a battle with a Balrog to attempt to mine it in order to save the elves, to the awakening of the same Balrog. So either way, it remains demonic, a fiery creature which just lives, basically leaves the only question of does it have real physical wings? We don't know.
No, we don't. And just because something has wings don't mean it can fly.
This is true.
No, because I read an article where they said that there was a guy that asked Tolkien one time why didn't everybody just jump on the back of those giant eagles, fly the ring in the Mordor, and dump it in the fires of
Yeah,
Khazad-dûm.
they debunked
And
that.
that was it. So they said that he was quoted as saying, by answering the guy, you should shut your effing mouth, mind your effing business, and just let us get on with the story as usual. End quote.
Dang.
Oh. Is that Tomax or Zaymont?
That is Tomax.
Very nice.
Funny story. So this came. So I ordered this right with a free credit that Amazon gave me, like a $30 credit that they gave me for some issue that I had a while back. And so I paid for this, and I ordered this one because on the photograph on Amazon, it shows Tomax as having the scar on his face. Now I know, because I'm a G.I. Joe guy, that Zaymont is the one with the scar. But I looked at both figures on Amazon, and both figures, they have the opposite picture. They've got the scar on the wrong face, on the wrong guy. All on Amazon. I looked everywhere. So I'm thinking, okay, well, this is something that G.I. Joe classified. Maybe they just did it wrong. Who cares? Whatever. So what? I ordered the one with the scar on the face because that's the one I wanted. It comes. No scar. No scar.
You got to send it back.
Fuck that. So what I did was I called them and I said, y'all gave me the right figure, but you put the wrong head on it. It's the wrong head. I said they popped the wrong head on the figure. Manufacturer problem, whatever it is. But this is for my kid's birthday. I don't have time to go through a whole thing, refund. I got to mail it back, wait for 7 days. Then they said, listen, man, this was supposed to be a gift. You guys sent me the money to buy the thing. It's the wrong thing. I said, what are we going to do about this? The guy's like, listen, well, I'll reissue the credit. Just buy the other one. So in effect, Amazon bought me both of the Crimson Twins. So Crimson Twin, Tomax and Zaymont on the house. Thank you, Amazon.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. And the other one will be here tomorrow. So these guys will go right there on that shelf with the other G.I. Joe.
I hope that one is correct. I hope it is correct.
I know. That's when I was worried. I was like, well, shit. Now I don't know. I said, well, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to order the one that don't have the scar on the picture. So that better be the one with the scar when it comes. But we'll see. It'll be here tomorrow. Should be here tomorrow. But yeah. Thank you a bunch, Amazonian. So okay, we covered Werewolf by Night. We covered She-Hulk. We covered House of the Dragon. What else? We good? We got some more to talk about. We talked a little bit about Ring of Power. When we go into the Rings of Power, though, as you see, I can go really deep, and I've got a Rings of Power, not a Rings of Power, a Tolkien, another guy that reads the shit out of Tolkien, who wants to come on with us, Stu, and chop it up with us about Tolkien. So we're gonna really dig into Rings of Power here one day. Hopefully, when we get the Tolkien dude on here, we can all chop it up.
Yes. Looks like Stu has something he wants to show. What is that, Stu?
Is this your new gun? Oh,
you are muted.
Muted.
This
You're
is
muted.
This is the last Gundam in the whole series of 5 Gundams that I've been trying to get to represent Gundam Wing. It's been a journey. It's been a trip. It's been like a trip to the mines of Moria. But I finally got the last one. I paid a little up for it, $5 extra. But not bad, because most places they were up 10, even Big Bad Toy Store. So I finally got the last Gundam in the whole line. Shenlong. Took me 2 years to get all 5 of them, and now it's my final. So I have Shay Long, the last Gundam, and the whole set. I just need Epion, and I can live without it if I can't find it. But if I can, I'll be happy. I just need Epion and Tallgeese, and that'll be the whole Gundam Wing set from the TV show Gundam Wings. So there.
I never saw that show, man. But I heard
Great
it was
show.
amazing.
Oh, great show, bro. It was the most amazing thing I had ever seen on TV at the time. But I'm liking that. I'm liking that Tomax right there, man.
These
because,
guys, they were acrobats. Remember, that was the whole thing. They were acrobat. They were the CEOs of
the company.
Yeah, it was called.
I forgot the name of the company.
It was
not the name of the company.
It was something existential or something enterprises. Look it up real quick. It's something enterprises. Something enterprises. It's the Cobra corporate. The corporate front of Cobra's terrorist organization. And they were like the CEO dudes, but they were also the head of the Crimson Guard, and they were acrobats. So I'm trying to figure out poses to set them up on the shelf that look acrobatic, but I can't think of anything that looks acrobatic.
But you need his brother to do it, because they normally would.
I wanted to have him doing something
around, right?
Yeah,
they usually would flip off each other and stuff
standing
like
on
that.
his shoulders or some shit like that.
Yeah, like they usually do stuff like that.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to
cartoon.
Yeah, I'll wait till his brother comes. I just got him sitting out here waiting for his brother so they can do some trapeze shit.
Well, after seeing Hasbro Pulse, they got a lot coming for G.I. Joe. Classified.
Do they ever, bro? They got Copperhead is coming. Shipwreck, your boy Shipwreck is coming.
I can't wait. I'll be the first one to get it. I'll be the first one to get Shipwreck. Tunnel Rat.
Tunnel Rat's the one I'm really waiting on. We still haven't seen a digital of Tunnel Rat. All we got of Tunnel Rat is the name. But we've got a digital image of Copperhead, Shipwreck, Torpedo, and Bazooka, and someone else. Forget who. But yeah, some of the names that we got that I'm excited about is definitely Tunnel Rat and Buzzer from the Dreadnoks. I can't wait to get all the Dreadnoks, man.
I would love to have all the Dreadnoks, yeah.
I'm so glad they're making Buzzer first, because out of all the Dreadnoks, Buzzer's like the one that's sort of...
Yeah, he was the coolest.
Wasn't for Tartan, he'd be the leader. Yeah, he's the cool one.
Yeah, he's the coolest. He had the coolest weapon.
He was the one with the ponytail and the shades.
Yep, he had the buzzsaw. With the diamond tip, the diamond tip blade, and
the end of his gun. Yeah,
that was dope. Yeah. And if you take their first names are Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they were actually
what is
made.
That even about?
Well, when they made the Dreadnoughts, the Dreadnoughts were actually made to kind of like Mad Max was big at the time, so that's why they did the Dreadnoughts.
No, I'm not talking about the Dreadnoughts. I'm talking about Tom, Dick, and Harry. Where does that term come from?
Oh, it's a term where somebody see three people together, they be like, "Who you guys?" It's like, "Oh, that's Tom, Dick, and Harry."
Unspecified.
Sort of like John Doe. Yeah, like calling Bill, William, Bill, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
the earliest known citation is from 17th century English theologian John Owen, who used the phrase in 1657. Owen told a governing body at Oxford University that our critical situation and our common interests were discussed out of journals and newspapers by every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Pairs of common male names, particularly Jack and Tom, Dick and Tom, or Tom and Tib, were often used generically in Elizabethan times.
Yeah, it's just used to just generalize people. That's all, basically.
Yeah. Buzzer.
But if you take their first names, they're Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah, man. Hasbro Pulse. So apparently Hasbro Pulse has made G.I. Joe Classified is now going to be apparently exclusively Hasbro Pulse. You will not be able to get them in stores anymore. They're not going to sell them at GameStop, Walmart, or any of that shit. They're just going to be
That's great,
exclusive.
bro. That's great because you know why, Reno? Because you
Is
can't
it,
find
bro?
them. Yeah. Because when I go in, bro, look how long it took me to
That just
come
means
back.
that bots are going to set up and buy them all before anyone can get them.
Nah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
That's what always
I don't think
happens.
that's gonna happen, man. It's cheaper for somebody that like when people go in the store. It's cheaper for them to go in there and just buy them, to knock them off the shelves, and then they mark them up 100%, and then we gotta buy them. It'd
Yeah,
be
but they
harder
have
because
bots
you gotta pay
that
for
go
shipping
to
now.
exclusive sites and shit, and they order them all up.
Oh, listen, listen. I would not disagree, but because if you didn't get a PlayStation in that first one, it took
Right.
you a long time to get one because you got bought it. But
Right.
they I think it's a good thing only because if you order them, you're gonna have to pay for shipping. And I think what they'll do is they'll sell them in a pack of 3, which will jack the price up even more. So a pack of 3 might cost you like maybe $90 plus shipping. And then people are gonna be like, I'm not spending it because who's gonna pay $200 for the 3 figures? Because that's what they normally do, mark them up 100%. Somebody's gonna pay $200 for the 3 figures. It's not gonna happen.
Oh my goodness.
Yo, Stu.
What's up?
Stu. Right now, dog.
Ooh.
You see that?
It's Destro in the original packaging too.
The original packaging, and it's right now at Walmart for $24.
Oh my god, those reviews.
Shit.
It's your Walmart.
Oh,
You got the
no,
greatest
this is
Walmart in the world.
online to order. I mean,
Yeah, I should order one.
that's what I'm saying, bro. I'm about to get this joint. But I don't know. He's not that different than the one I got. They're saying that he's more accurate. He is more accurate to the original.
To the original, yeah, he is to me. Yeah, looking at it, yeah, he is.
I don't really see a lot of differences though. Okay. His gloves are silver and his chain is silver. But I don't see too many differences, dog.
Not much.
That different.
His gloves are red. The original had red gloves. They were red. And they
had the red wrist rockets.
No, they were silver. Yeah, the red wrist rockets. Does he have the red wrist rockets? The one you have?
Yep.
Oh snap!
The only difference
is
but he's got some gray accents on his shoulder and chest that they've made black on this one because in the original he doesn't have any accents. He's just solid black. Also, it looks like his collar, where mine has a sort of a black rim around it, theirs is just pure red.
It should be red, yeah.
Like the original. Like this one's red, but it's got a black sort of edge on it. But dude, that's not different enough that I'm gonna buy a different one.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, listen, but they did that because a lot of people couldn't get them. So if you don't have one, you can go buy that one. I would rather have that one, but it'd be hard to take them out the package because that original package is dope. I wouldn't want to take them out.
I would get that one just to leave it in the package.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I would get that one to leave it in the package because that's why I got that gung ho in one of them packages. But I had to take him out because I don't have another gung ho.
Now you can get one in the original package, right? Or no?
Maybe if he wants to spend that.
See. See that?
Yeah.
Oh, you did get him in the pack.
Yeah, I did get him, but I took him out.
Yeah, it's hard. It would be hard to open that. Yeah, because you're like, damn.
It was hard, bro. It was hard, but I had to.
It'd be hard. It'd be hard to open that one. The one in the box, I can do that. I can knock that out. But the one in the
original
package,
packaging, that's rough. That's rough.
yeah. I wish they were that size. I wish they were that size when we were kids. Like I wish they
I
were
know.
that big. That would have
I
been
know.
that would have been so much better.
But they, it was the birth of the 375 because before
I
that they
know.
were fucking 12
They're
inches.
huge. Yeah, it was 12
Barbie
inches plus. Yeah.
Yeah, big ass dolls. So it was they just didn't know yet. But I think this is the perfect size because it's not too big, but it's big enough that you can get a lot of
No.
detail and a lot of,
Yep. And articulation. Yeah. And pose it. Yeah.
Yeah. Check this out. I put Beachhead's beret on his head.
Nice.
It kind of gives him that African warlord look.
I do.
Because he's an arms supplier, And they say he's Scottish, but I'm sorry, dude. Destro's always been black to me.
Yeah, he never sounded Scottish, even on the cartoon.
Because the cartoon, he's voiced by a black man.
Yes, he is.
No, he sounds like a damn African dude. Cobra Commander. Like that is not.
Yeah, he does.
I always thought he was like an African warlord. That's how I always looked at him. So that's my African warlord Destro right there.
Yeah, and it's somebody that did it.
Mm-hmm. Cobra Commander.
Because it was also the original was a black guy.
If they ever decide to give G.I. Joe a chance again in the movies, I could see them casting Despero like that.
Yeah, I know that the one that did for A Real American Hero, because the movie Destro was different. The voice actor was different than the one for
the same guy always voiced Destro. The same guy always voiced Destro. He was real famous for it. I forget his name. He was at Comic-Con.
Was he?
Yeah, he was at Comic-Con signing shit and shit. Arthur Berghart, that's his name.
That's the one from the movie, but the one from the TV show is a different dude.
Nah, he voiced him on the show too. Now you might be thinking of the Japanese. I mean, I don't know. The Arthur Berghart is the voice of Destro, and Masuki Omaro is the Japanese version. Drop my lit blunt in the trash can.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, Arthur Berghart always did. But you might,
because I always thought he sounded a little different from. I thought the voice was a little deeper in the TV show than in the movie, like G.I. Joe the movie. I always thought it was somebody different. Like when you watch Thundercats, you can tell the same people that voice Thundercats voice Silverhawks.
Right.
And you can always tell, but like with G.I. Joe, some of them sound they were just like a little different. It just sounded like a little bit different.
Yeah, it says that there was a guy named Scott McNeil that did the voice at some point. I'm just trying to see where. You might be right. I don't know.
Because if you listen to him, because I'll be watching the Hasbro Pulse channel all the time, and I was like, he sounds a little different. Because I know for a fact that in Real American Hero, the voice of Destro is not the one that was in the movie. I know that for a fact. That I know. Matter of fact, the dude that did Destro for Real American Hero is the dude that did Pinky and the Brain. I don't know his name though, but I know he did Pinky and the Brain. He did Destro.
All right. G.I. Joe the movie 1987 was Arthur Berghart. G.I. Joe the show from 1985 was Arthur Berghart.
G.I. Joe. I always thought it was somebody else.
There's several other Destros, but they're from like G.I. Joe Spy Troops, G.I. Joe Valor vs. Venom, G.I. Joe Sigma 6, G.I. Joe Resolute, G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, G.I. Joe Community, G.I. Joe Operation Hiss, G.I. Joe Renegades, Operation Blackout. There's been several Destros, but the Destro from the 80s was always Arthur Burghardt. And I only know that because I saw some documentary about it or something, and I saw a whole thing.
Because I always thought that the one. You sure, man? Because I always thought the one from A Real American Hero was somebody else because they sound different.
The show, the cartoon.
I'm talking about the TV show that came on, the one that came on every day, like 4:00.
Arthur Burghardt.
That one always. I always thought that always was somebody else, man, because he always sounded different. And I was like, nah, I can't be the same one. The voice was a little deeper. Like one was deeper and one wasn't. They sounded the same, but one would just sound a little deeper to me.
Maybe he decided to make them deeper for that particular project.
Could have been. I don't know. I gotta look it up because those voices sounded distinct to me. It was different. Because like when like I said, when you watch when I used to watch Silverhawks and Thundercats, I used to be like, yo, it's like you could tell they was the same voice actors, but they sounded different. But you can tell it was like the same people that did it. Because the voice of Mumra and Monstar, that's the same person. I know that for a fact. That's got to be the same person. But I know A Real American Hero, when they did the TV show and the movie, it was a different voice actor because the Destro in A Real American Hero, to me, I think his voice is a little deeper than me. The one that was in the movie sounded cooler. He sounded a lot cooler as Destro. But the one in the TV show, he sounded like a little deeper, like his voice was like, I don't know, like a little deeper.
Well,
I always thought it was a different actor. I mean, a different voice actor for that, because they just sound different when you listen to them.
Yeah. I don't know, because let's find out. Let's do a taste test here.
Yeah, type in voice of Destro. Let's see what comes up.
All right. That's Arthur Burghardt. He is
dude that did Pinky and the Brain. Because I know I looked it up a long time ago. I always thought the dude that did Pinky and the Brain did
all right, you see,
did the voice.
Says G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, Maurice LaMarche. It said he voiced it. Destro.
What? See this right here, G.I. Joe 1985 TV show. Arthur Burghardt. Which, I mean, you grew up on this show.
What are you referring to?
A Real American Hero. That's the one I used to watch.
Yeah, it's a different person.
He's talking about the
that's the one I watched religiously. That's the one I watched religiously.
You watched
Destro and the one from the movie.
Trust me, you watched Arthur Burghardt. And trust me, it's the same guy from the movie. I promise you.
No, they're saying the one from A Real American Hero is the guy above, Maurice LaMarche, however you say that.
Maurice LaMarche is from the DIC version of A Real American Hero in 1989 that came out after. We're talking about the 1985 one. Maurice did the 1989 one. You're correct, but the 1985 one is the one we're talking about, and that's the one that is the same one.
Because I know A Real American Hero ended in 89. It went from like 85 to 89. It was it's like a 4-year run.
And then starting in 89 was the DIC Entertainment. Remember Deke? Remember that? It was a Deke. But that was that was Maurice LaMarche.
Are you sure, man? Because that joint sounds different to me. I could be wrong.
All right. So we
could be wrong.
Now we're gonna do.
But they just sound different to me. Yeah, they just sound different to me.
Let's do the taste test. All right, let's do the taste test. Hasbro. Hasbro, G.I. Joe. No, not Hasbro Pulse. There we go. All right.
Ooh, live 24/7.
Let's listen to some Destro. There we go.
Something more before you go traipsing off into the snow. There's an old iceberg moored at the eastern end of the Sea of Ice.
The hell?
Just over the rise.
Oh, you can't.
This is the
You can't.
this is the weather dominator. Nah, you can't. You can't fast forward.
It's official.
Listen.
Hasbro. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can't fast forward it. It's my joint
Yeah,
right here,
Hasbro
man.
watched
It's a shame I know these joints by heart. It's a shame
Oh, yeah,
I know
bro.
these joints by heart.
Grew up on these.
Yo, I love these joints, man. And the sad part is,
So good.
yeah, 24. Yeah, side. I watch side. Sometimes I just sit there and binge on it.
Yeah, we sit and watch.
Play on TV. Don't
It
lie.
play
I
every
will
episode.
sit there and watch.
It just play every
Yep.
episode back to back, and we just watch it.
Including the movies, including all
Yep.
3 movies, plus the episodes. It's just a continuous run.
It's my boys right there.
Yeah, the Dreadnought,
Zartan.
Zartan, yeah.
And they use Zartan
Cobra
where his
Hiss.
voice is like a echo machine or some shit. They layered his voice.
Did they? Yeah, 'cause
Listen when
his voice was
Zartan
dope.
talked. Yeah, his voice was mad dope because it was layered.
His voice, yeah.
Here.
Oh, too easy. There's no place to run, Joes.
And Zartan about to give it to him. Watch this. And they got him in the crossfire, but they're gonna get out though.
Snake Eyes gonna drop
Snake
down.
Eyes
Blah, blah.
followed him there. Yeah, but Snake Eyes wasn't supposed to be there.
Very nice.
Scarlet, bang, get out of here.
Blast them.
Yeah, see, they got him in the crossfire.
You caught up to watch the whole thing.
And you know, G.I. Joe is the only one where they shoot. They the only ones hit something. The Cobra Troops can't. They worse than Stormtroopers. They can't hit nothing.
Yeah, they don't never hit nothing. And they will sit there. You can see lasers coming from this side and that side, and they just coming and just blah 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 blah, and they'll just be standing there. Like I'm like, damn, y'all, and nobody hit nobody.
Like
Nobody.
But this is my
nobody,
guy.
Yeah, they worse than. That's
This is
Copperhead.
my guy, Copperhead, right here. Yeah.
That's Wakanda.
There he goes.
Yeah, Copperhead was another fan favorite. People love Copperhead.
Yeah, and
But
he
you
was
had
like
to buy, you had to buy that hovercraft to get him.
the boat. Yeah, the hovercraft.
Poison breath.
Oh, you're just aching to get blown away, ain't you?
You had to buy the boat to get him. Not a hovercraft. I mean,
He's
it's a boat. It's a
like-
swamp boat. You had to buy
Oh,
that. You
Louisiana.
couldn't get him without that.
Yeah, the Bayou joint. No, yeah, he came with that vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah. You couldn't get him without the vehicle.
Yeah, to buy that vehicle. I don't know why. I think I liked every character that all you could see was their eyes. Any character that had that ninja look, that was my guy. Like any character
It was
with
dope
that sort
back
of
then, man.
ninjas
Yeah,
was
we was
all
in love with ninjas back then. Ninjas was all that.
Yeah.
And they did magic. And they could do ninja magic. So we was all in the ninjas back then.
ninjas with
They could disappear.
Uh,
They could flip. They had swords and shit. They threw stars with pinpoint accuracy.
oh, we used to think ninjas were like superheroes. Like they was like
Yeah.
powerful. We used to think a ninja could beat up anybody, anything.
Yeah. You can't beat a ninja. What?
Can't beat a ninja.
Get out of here.
Like such and such.
Yeah.
But Muhammad Ali versus a ninja though. For Bruce Lee versus a ninja.
Yeah, mama, it wouldn't stand a chance. If you dressed up like a ninja, you was the coolest person in your neighborhood.
Yeah. If you dressed like a ninja, you was a bad man. You was tough. But nah, we're okay. I'm going nuts, but I cannot find no goddamn Destro episodes for some reason.
You gotta look at
All
Brother Dominator.
Let's do this.
That's the one he was in the most. And you got the movie. He was in the movie. Serpentor. He was in the joint.
All right, so I know he's in the movie.
You're about. Let's look sharp, man.
Cobra Commander.
Be your test, law. Hey, law and order.
Yeah,
But there's a whole documentary. There's a whole documentary about the guy that does the voice. Because he does. I want to say he did something for Transformers.
Did he die? Did he pass, or is he still alive? He did do a voice in Transformers. I know that.
Yeah,
that is true. He did some Transformers.
Yeah, and I think the guy that
I
did
couldn't
Cobra
tell you.
Commander was Starscream too. Starscream and Cobra Commander were
Yeah,
always
he
like
was.
Yeah.
Starscream. Yeah, they're the same person. There's Destro right there.
The music was superb in the show.
What?
Crimson Guards. Can't wait to get them.
Look at Crimson Guard.
Oh, she's infiltrating the fucking.
Is that
This was
Dr.
an ill scene. No, that's one of the.
Oh, that's Cobra La. That's the chick from Cobra La. That's one of the
yeah.
Cobra La people. That's the chick. I forget her name.
Yeah. I swear to God, I just seen Destro though.
We did.
It's back.
Here they go, Dr. Mindbender, Baroness, Cobra Commander, the twins.
Oh, there's the twins. I just seen Destro talking.
They got all that security out there. She just running around like it's not.
That's treason. I don't believe it. Yes, leadership is the bait. Right? Boss. Buffoon. What? Baroness. Dr. Mindbender. Destro. Militarily speaking, it's only fair to say that Cobra Commander is a world-class buffoon.
He's definitely he's hitting it harder than he normally hits it, but that's the same guy. Arthur Burkhart.
Listen, I wouldn't doubt if it was. It's just that during the movies they just sound different. Like when I watch the movies, they sound different to me than they do on the TV show. It seemed like the one on the TV show is a little deeper than the one in the movies.
Oh, I was gonna say he was more deep in the movie just now, but like he was more growly with it. But
because in some episodes he do sound more like it is a little more growly.
Yeah, I just thought that
he still had a dope. He still had a dope voice. He still had a dope voice regardless of who voiced him or whatever. Him as Zartan.
Yeah.
I mean, Serpentor got on my nerves because it was always this I command, and he always, I got tired of that.
Yeah.
And I'm talking big with a Vic.
And then it seemed like he was always yelling when he talked. Whenever Serpentor talked, he was always yelling.
Yep. All right, here we go.
Very big D.
That's the Dominator.
My ion correlator still lies somewhere on the island of no return. But my
I'm laughing because you was like, no, I'm laughing because you was like, he don't sound like he's Scottish.
that man don't sound Scottish, bro.
Nah, he don't sound Scottish at all.
And I still retain two of the enemy for potential bargaining.
He sound like an African warlord, so he do sound like he'd be like an African warlord.
He's a goat, bro. He's like this guy right here, man. This is Arthur Burkhart. He's a goat. He's like one of the really dopest like voice actors of all time. Like I watched this whole documentary about him. That's how I know. But what else did he do? God of War.
That's good. We see. He did God of War. I know he did God of War.
Super Raw.
Him and my man from the Living Singles.
He plays this character.
Plays who?
This character from Disney. This guy. Who's that guy? Pete,
yeah.
Pete from Disney. The like that guy, Pete. That character from Disney. He's like always the bad guy or whatever. What else did he do? He played Pete a lot. Wild Thornberries, blah blah blah. Monster, Stone Keep, Conan the Adventurer, Prince and the Pauper. He did the Transformers movie too.
Nice.
He did the Transformers.
Who was in the Transformers movie?
Devastator.
Oh, he was Devastator.
He did GoBots, the Battle of Rock Lords movie. He played Turbo and Copter. In Destro, he's Stalker. I mean, in G.I. Joe, the TV show, he was Stalker. He was
Stalker,
Iceberg.
Snow Job.
He was Iceberg, Destro.
That's Iceberg. I thought that was Snow Job. I thought that was Snow Job.
No, but see, he plays.
I guess you can make a living. I guess you can make.
Look, he plays 2 black characters
and one Scottish guy.
Come on, Destro is not Scottish. Come on.
And did he play a Scottish guy? Destro's Scottish, man. I'm sorry, bro. Scottish all the way, baby. Scottish all the way.
He's an African warlord. He got some fake documentation that said he was Scottish. You know what I'm saying? But you know his roots.
Scottish all the way, baby.
You know his roots.
I mean, that's how Scots sound nowadays.
But look, this is Arthur Burghardt.
Nowadays,
Arthur Burghardt's list of shit he's did. So here you go, G.I. Joe TV show. There is the movie.
Mantis? Murray the Mantis? What the hell?
Real Ghostbusters. Murray
he was a real Ghostbusters. Yeah. Murray the Praying Mantis. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Real Ghostbusters is my shot. I can't lie about that. Yeah. I like the Real Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That was my shot. I can't even front on that.
Yeah,
I like the one where they went into they got caught inside the containment unit, and all the ghosts that they had captured, they had like a little city in there. And in there they had people busters. So they was in there running from the people busters, and they were like zombified versions of themselves chasing people and capturing them and then putting them away. So all the ghosts were afraid of people when they were in there. Is he still alive?
That's what I'm about to check. You know what I missed though? That show Cops, COPS, and it was like about these cyborg cops. I'm talking about a cartoon, not the show Cops. It was an animated show.
Wait, what?
No, it was an animated show. Let's see. He's still alive. He's born in 1947. He's an old cat now. Let's see.
Right.
He played One Life to Live. He was Dr. Jack Scott, and he was on. Then he mostly just did. He was Different Strokes. He was Mr. Dupre.
Scooby and Scrappy Doo, Different Strokes. Yeah, I remember that. Oh, that's him. Okay. Yeah, I remember him from Different Strokes.
Yeah. But yeah, say he's still alive, I guess.
I know the guy that voiced Mumra. He died. He passed away. I forget his name.
Oh, really?
Like Jack something. Or something. Yeah, he passed away. They said when he used to do Mumra, they said the one guy was talking. They said, man, he really got into that role. They said he would do it. They said he'd be drooling and he'd be spit flying everywhere.
Oh my God.
They said when he would. They said when he would do the transformation, how Mumra would say the transformation, he'd be like ancient spirits of evil. He said, he said he'd really get into it. He said he raised his arms up in the air like this, and he'd be like, well, he said he'd just be slobbing and drooling. He said, but when you went and played it back, he said it sounded believable.
Right.
He said it was just that we knew he was about to do that. It was like we all got out the way, like we all literally left the room.
Yeah. But Earl Hammond. Wait, I swear I heard of Earl Hammond before. Oh, that's him, huh? Oh, that's not.
Yeah, that's him. Look and see, he got his arms in the air. Yeah. They said he would be just like that. Yeah, they said he'd be drooling and everything. They said he'd be spit flying everywhere. They said he really got into that role.
Yeah. Dude, the live action Thundercats. I don't know. I'd rather see it.
We've been hearing that for years, bro. Yeah, me too. We've been hearing that for years. Just get Unreal Engine 5 and make me a Thundercats movie. I'm good.
Mm-hmm. What about Momoa as Lino?
No, sir. Don't do it.
What about J.K. Simmons as Mumra?
No, sir. No. Unreal Engine 5. He can be the voice of Mumra. Unreal Engine 5. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah. That's real. Mumra was epic, bro.
Was he ever, bro? Look at that.
Mumra was epic, bro.
Mumra and Monstar was voiced by the same person.
Oh, perfect. Just perfect. Great soundbite.
He used to talk so much shit.
Spirits of evil, transform this decayed form to Ra, the ever living source of evil. Those are the ancient spirits of evil right there.
The ever living.
I think when they did the new one, they didn't want to go that far because back then nobody was afraid to say spirits and evil at the same sentence. Ra, the ever living. Yeah, Momar was the man. Now if you go to
these are all the different transformations.
Yeah, there's all the transformations. If you go to Silverhawks and you type in Monstar, it's the same exact thing, same transformation, same everything. That's how you knew the same people that did Thundercats did Silverhawks.
Mm-hmm.
See, look, yeah, same voice, everything.
Yeah.
There you go. Because he's like he's about to talk to them. All he needs is the light of the moon star, and then he's gonna be able to transform into Monstar. It's like a little piece of light gonna come through the thing. And he's gonna get it, and then he's gonna transform.
Same voice and everything.
Same voice. Transform. What he said? Moonstar Limbo. Give me the might. The menace, the muscle of Monstar. There it is. And he changes. Then he calls his octopus a ride to come get him. Watch. Now when he's Monstar like that, he can't be dead. He's unstoppable. And they come in there to get him. He gonna shoot him. Like, get out of here. Yeah, Stargazer. That's his ride, Stargazer. Now, he in jail all that time. You like, well, damn, Stargazer was just waiting outside for him.
And he was just waiting for that beam of light to come in the jail cell so he could transform.
Yeah, the Moonstar. Yeah, as long as he don't have access to the Moonstar, he can't transform.
Mm-hmm.
But you see that's the same exact actor, same everything. Even the voices of the Silverhawks are the same as the Thundercats.
Yeah. But yeah, go look up that dude Arthur Berghart. He's got a dope documentary.
They did a documentary. Oh, I gotta check that out.
It was either a documentary or a YouTube video that someone made about him, something. But it broke it all down and shit. And I was like, I knew it. I knew Destro was black. I knew it.
You knew Destro was black on that one?
I knew it.
I mean, there's no mistake. You know he black. You know the voice. Yeah, you know the voice is the voice of black. You know that. That's unmistakable.
Come on, no, that's not Scottish. I was like, he's Scottish.
I don't care Reno. He's Scottish. That's how Scots talk nowadays.
Yeah,
that's how Scots talk back in the 80s.
Very Scottish.
They might have changed now. Yeah, they might have changed now, but that's how they talked in the 80s. That's how they got down.
That's how they got down in the 80s.
Yeah. You go to Scotland in the 80s, that's how they talk. That's how they got down.
That's how they was getting down.
Yeah, all Scots talk. Yeah, all Scots talk like that back in the 80s.
Like
from 81 to 89. From 81 to 89, that's how all Scots talk. Talk just like Destro. They all sound like, even the women, they sound like
Scrooge McDuck and Barry White.
Yeah, they all sound. Even the women, they all sounded like Destro.
Well, guys, man, I think that's our show for the night. But we will be back Wednesday and Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Y'all already know. Y'all got anything else y'all want to cover?
No, nothing on my end.
Maybe Sada.
We are good. All right, then. Well, y'all, thank y'all for coming and chilling and kicking it with us. Don't forget, Werewolf by Night, phenomenal. House of the Dragon was hella fun. She-Hulk, great show as usual, guys. Thank you for that, Slade. We appreciate y'all. Everybody, peace, peace, peace. And we'll see you guys Wednesday, man. Salute. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.